Hello and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 496. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer. And before I introduce everybody, Happy New Year. What up, everybody? How are we all doing? I am alongside the one and only, it is the man on the ones and twos. It is Mr. Paul Despawn.
Happy New Year. I got a Steam Deck. I'm happy.
We'll get there, Despawn.
No, I want to talk about it now.
We'll get there. Alongside the one and only Mr. Two Fresh Crash.
Hello. New year, new me. Yeah.
That's a lot of energy, Crash. I like it. I like it. And of course, the one, the only, he's alive this week. It's Mr. Matt P. Video. Matt,
I wasn't missing this week. I was never missing this week. Come on.
Well, we appreciate it. We could do with that energy every week, Matt. That would be nice. Every single week, that could be great energy to have.
Definitely not promising that.
Fair.
I'm coughing already. I'm a little bit sick. So I'll be cutting out mid-sentence, I'm sure. Boys, hope you had a happy new year. 2025 is upon us. Quickly, what was the favorite thing you got this Christmas, Despawn?
I technically didn't get it for Christmas. I got it for Christmas Eve and I bought it myself, but it was my Steam Deck. And it is. I do not regret that purchase one bit.
I love how we're just so different people, right? So mine sits back there. There doesn't get used at all. Yours is like a baby out of a new wrapper. I was contemplating buying a new VR headset.
Yeah. I did get I've got my old VR headset. Well, I say old, the Meta Quest 3. I did get the strap for like the headrest. Yeah. Just to kind of make it a bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt, what did you get?
Somehow, some way, Emma's very good about getting things that are difficult to get, and she managed to get me a 30th anniversary PlayStation Portal, which is obviously very appropriate for my Xbox and me, and the ridicule that you guys give me. But yes, it's good in it. It's good in it. It's just a good bit of kit. The DualSense is just good.
Wait, did you get it all or just the Portal?
Just the Portal.
Confused. Okay,
Portal and controller. I mean, I got a controller before, during Black Friday or whatever.
So the Portal, that you've used it? What do you think?
I like it. I mean, look, I was traveling around. Like, this is yesterday we got back to the apartment after sort of 3 weeks of being at various parents' houses. And for some reason, I hadn't set up remote play properly on the PS5. So I've been just using the PlayStation Premium cloud streaming beta, which isn't great. Playing the games is fine. Everything else is terrible. The UI, there's no way to search the game catalog. You just fucking scroll through 100 key arts and figure out which one you want. There's no filter, there's no genre, there's no nothing. The user experience ain't great. Well, yeah, exactly. It's in beta, I guess. User still experience isn't great.
There ain't no beta charging though, is there? Still charging you for it, so
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Played a bit of Dino Crisis. Remember Dino Crisis?
What a game. Crash, I know you're not a big Christmas guy, obviously, but what did you get?
Before the podcast, we were talking, and Despawn gave a very good answer, and I'm going to steal Despawn's answer. He deserves full credit. I got peace and quiet for Christmas. So
I didn't get anything gaming related for Christmas, and I never do anymore because I run my own company. I very specifically tell Haley, do not bother buying me anything that can be written off as a tax write-off.
Sure.
So she's very much like, oh, do you want this or do you want that? And I'm like, absolutely not. That's a tax write-off. Don't you dare buy me any of those things. So I got a bunch of stuff. Got a bunch of new tracksuits. So you'll see a lot of these. I'd already bought this one beforehand, but I got the blue version of this and the grey version of this. Got some new Jordans. Nothing gaming related. I'm trying to think what else did I get. Can't show you. Got this Hugo Boss man bag. So people would call it a fanny pack, but obviously in England we don't wear them like fanny packs. We wear them over the shoulder. But it's so sexy, and I've wanted it for ages. So I was really, really happy when I saw that. So yeah, that was my best present. But enough of all of that. This is our Game of the Year episode. As everyone knows, we always do our Game of the Year episode the first week in January over the Christmas period to try and give us all enough time to play as many video games as possible. I will openly admit, I got sick Boxing Day. Probably the worst time to get sick when you have a bunch of games to play. And if anyone knows me, unfortunately, like some people get sick and then they can carry on playing games. I am not that person. When I get sick, I go to watching old films I've already seen so I can fall asleep during said films. So all I've done is watch Fast and Furious. I watched Scarface. I watched Fast and Furious. What else did I watch? I don't know, some other crap. But yeah, so this will be interesting. Despawn.
Hi.
How are we doing this? What's the plan, brother? What's the plan? Like, how we going about doing this?
So technically, we're gonna have two lists. We're gonna have our personal lists, and then we're gonna follow that up with my Xbox and me definitive top 10 Xbox games of the year. So I'd say we just go around 10 to 1. We each give our game for that number, our reasoning why, and then each of us can argue why we're all idiots for choosing it.
Sounds good.
Everyone
good with that? Everyone good with that?
I can't wait.
Strap in, everybody. Strap in. All right. Number 10, Crash. We'll go Crash, Matt, me, Despawn, if everyone's good with that.
Sure.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Crash, number 10, mate. What we got?
My number 10 game is Balatro.
Oh, wow.
Made my list. Made it all the way at the bottom. This almost didn't make my list, I'm going to be honest. The reason it almost didn't make my list is I don't see myself playing it more than I already have. I don't see it having a huge impact outside of this year or even in the year. When I look back at this, I'll remember Balatro as a game. I won't remember it for this year, if that makes sense. It was a good game. I really enjoyed it. I think the remix on the poker aspect I think is really cool. I think the art design of the cards is really cool and all that stuff. I enjoyed it a lot. I just didn't quite enjoy it enough to get higher than the number 10 spot, but a number 10 spot, not bad by any means either.
Is it on anybody else's list?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we doing? Are we going to hold it for when we get there?
We got to hold it. We got to hold it.
Cool. All right, cool. It's not on my list. I will openly admit. Obviously, didn't get to this game in the end. Didn't care about it when you guys were talking about it. Don't care about it now. It's funny. Callum in the Ubisoft office. Shout out to him. I remember when this first came out. He was like, "Vix, you got to play this game, man." And I was like, "Bro, that does not sound like a me game at all." But here we are. So it is what it is.
Unbelievable.
Matt,
is it me?
Number 1, mate. What you got?
Number 1.
Oh, sorry, number 10. Number 10.
Number 10 for me, I had Helldivers 2.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's kind of like controversy and shooting themselves in the foot aside. Helldivers did something really special in this weird meta game story that seemed to permeate the mainstream, at least for a time. And even when they update stuff now, people go back in. The clips I'm seeing of the new factions make me want to go back in because it looks awesome. Every time you see a clip of that game, it makes you want to go back in. It makes you feel like you're watching Saving Private Ryan again for the first time or something, just fucking awesome. And that thing happens every other game, it seems like. So I think Helldivers 2 did something really, really special. The way they've updated and maintained that game, PlayStation aside, has been fascinating to watch. So Helldivers 2, number 10. There it is.
Another game that's not on my list at all. Didn't make my entirety of my list. Didn't crack my top 10. Interesting. Yeah, it's weird because I don't want to go into more depth about why. That's why I'm like, do we go into where other people have put it or not?
I haven't. It's not on my list at all.
I think if it's not on your list and you want to say why, that's fair.
Crash, we'll start with you. Why is it not on yours?
I don't. I enjoyed it in a splash in the pan sort of situation where it was really hot for a moment. I enjoyed it that weekend or that week, and then I moved away from it, and I never thought about going back. Whereas I have other games that sort of had that similar effect, but I have thought and have gone back to them after that splash in the pan moment, where I think Helldivers 2 just didn't have that for me again.
100%. I'm 100% in agreement. It was I remember when it came out, I remember PlayStation sent me a code, and then I remember me and Haley played it together because we didn't know where it was, and I very quickly was like, okay, this is not a Haley game. This is not gonna work. I remember Ant hitting me up, being like, yo, let's play this. We played a little bit. I remember playing it in that small window, like you say, of at weekend, maybe a little bit after. And then after that, it was like, oh, everyone's still having so much fun. And I'm like, it was fine. Like, it still shocks me today of how big that game was. And like you say, forget about all the PlayStation nonsense and all that stuff. It still shocks me that it got as big as it did. I'm happy for them. I'm glad it's done as well as it did. But shocking to me.
Yeah.
I think also it was like, sorry, Desmond, go on.
I was going to say, yeah, it almost made my top 10. It didn't quite make it, but I think the reason everyone loved it is because at the time it was so, like, it did everything right from, like, an online multiplayer game. It had a lower cost to enter. I think it was like $40 or 40 quid. Yeah. The battle pass system was perpetual and, like, you could earn in-game rewards to go towards it. The gameplay loop was fun. It just did not take itself seriously. When they broke things and they held their hands up and just let the players play with it. I think they did everything right for that game, and it was just a fun time. But yeah, like you guys said, it just, after a certain point, it just didn't make me want to go back. I think, like, I got my fill of it, which is a shame, because, like, it is fun when you're playing it, but, like, there's nothing that kind of, like, dragged me back to it.
I think like as a reinvention of what that game was as well, like Helldivers 1 exists and is a very, very different game. And so for them to come out with that game, I thought it was super impressive. And I think I held on to it a lot longer than you guys did and went back to it recently to get some footage for the award show. And I was just like, fuck, man, I wish I knew other people who were still playing this, because I want to get back into it like that.
Fair enough. My number 10 is Alan Wake's DLC. I'm only talking about the Night Spring DLC because I didn't actually get to the second one, unfortunately. This would have been higher if... By the way, what are we doing about spoilers for the entirety of this whole podcast?
Good question. I would prefer you not spoil it from me, but... Okay,
well then that's fine. The first... There's 3 different missions you do on Night Springs DLC, right? From 3 different character perspectives. The first one is phenomenal. The second one is okay, and the third one outright pissed me off. And Despawn knows exactly why, I'm sure. The ending of the third one left such a bad taste in my mouth, and it makes perfect sense, and I understand why they did it, and everything, but all I will say is, as a dyslexic person who doesn't enjoy reading, what a fucking cop-out at the end for that. If I hadn't... And I bought the deluxe version of Alan Wake 2, right? So I already had the DLC. But if I had bought that separately, I would have been so angry. I would have been so angry. Again, it makes perfect sense in the world they built. It makes perfect sense in the story they tell in that third piece, that third story they're telling. Makes perfect sense. But just for someone as me, I was waiting for a moment for it to go back to what I was expecting, and then it doesn't. And you're just there like, if I didn't, me and Haley played it through, we literally played it through a couple of days ago. If I didn't have Haley there to read a bunch of stuff, I would have been so angry. It would have, oh my God. Because I would have literally just went skip, end. So it would have been a lot higher on this list if it wasn't for probably one higher, to be honest with you. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Rose deals, like the Rose story that gets told. It's funny, it's witty, it's a good twist on a world that's very serious and very very like meant to be scary, and all of this, and it just kind of 180s it, and it's just like, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. That's why it made my top 10 personal list. And again, it's nice just to go back and say Alan Wake well, to be honest with you. You just forget how good Alan Wake is until you play it again and like, oh yeah. Especially after like you play something like Silent Hill 2 as well, and you're like, I think I like Alan Wake more than I like Silent Hill, which is going to contradict itself in this list later on. But there's a difference between a full game and a DLC. But so there you go. But so that was my number 10. Again, I will get to the other DLC. I've heard that's actually really good. Other gripe, I guess, is wow, I should have played Control, because this game, Jesus Christ, even this DLC, like I had Full Metal in my chat being like, oh, do you know who that is? And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, and I have no idea what the hell was going on. But I'm like, it's fine. We'll just power through it. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But yeah, that was my number 10.
Under my Game of the Year list, I have games I didn't get to this year, and I've just added Alan Wake 2 DLC to it. Because I need to.
Yeah, you'll knock it out. Like both DLCs will take you about 5 hours, 6 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, so you'll get through it pretty quickly.
Cool.
The plan was to do both of them. I just couldn't. Like I say, I was getting a coughing fit midway through the first one, and I was like, I'm done. This was a 4-hour stream. I'm done. I'm no more. So yeah, you'll get through it.
I was saying I had myself muted, but I was just saying then, 5 hours isn't that much, but like 5 hours is still a substantial amount of time for Alan Wake DLC. Also, it was on my list. It was number 10.
Hey, there we
Great
go.
lines. Great lines.
I'm including both DLCs. And more the second one. Because it very much expands on the world of like the real world of Alan Wake. Without actually telling an Alan Wake story, which I think is fantastic. I think Janina, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the surnames because I don't want to mess it up. I think I'm going to think it's Janina Gavanka.
Sounds along those lines.
Yeah, apologies if I mispronounced that. But yeah, she did a fantastic job. So you see her briefly in Alan Wake 2. She is the main protagonist for the second DLC. I agree with what you say about the first DLC. Like the first one is fun. The second one is fantastic. The third one is brilliant and tells and really expands on the world and like kind of like gives you an idea of the scope that Remedy are trying to tell with their stories. Yeah. But then, that cop-out ending, which we were.
Did you not like the ending either? Just out of interest, did you?
I personally wasn't that aggrieved by it because of like you say, it fits within the kind of medium that they're telling. But I can see as somebody who who wants this big story out of them for it to be that kind of ending. Again, trying to be as vague as possible. I feel like
they should have done it in reverse as well.
Yeah,
like
they should have. That should have
ended on. It should have ended on Rose, if anything, because it was that one was so strong. I would have walked away with such a different perspective on things.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, if I had played that first one, I might have been so annoyed that I wouldn't have gotten to the other one. So it is what it is. It is what
I just think the story beats that they were telling, I think it made sense for it to be the last one in that trilogy.
No, it does, yeah.
Yeah. I think, again, like every time Remedy release anything, I think the way that they expound on the story that they're trying to tell, they do such a fantastic job. I really enjoyed the new additions to that. I think the second DLC, I think the Lake House DLC, they did a really good job of adding new elements in there. So there's new enemies, which are wildly different from what's already in the game. The new weapons that's in there as well is really fun. The story that they're telling is cool. Honestly, it's, when we do the Capcom Don't Miss meme at this place. Like, I will genuinely, I will fight for anything that Remedy do at this point. Like, I know they had the slight miss with Crossfire.
I was going to say Crossfire X will have something to say about that.
Yeah, well, I never played the single player, so I don't know.
Me either, but from what I was told, it was bad.
Yeah, so who knows? But yeah, like everything else has been fantastic, I can't wait to see what else they do.
Fair enough.
The shooter that's coming out, that's a bit like Left 4 Dead. in the Bureau.
FCB BioBreak.
Yeah. Is that Remedy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or is that a different studio? No, that is
Remedy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't worry. I think it's Matt. They're gonna miss. Don't worry.
Well, I hope not.
Are they?
Oh no, I there's no different. I'm not hoping for. I'm not wishing on their downfall. No way. But even looking at that game, I was just like,
looking at this with the Capcom Resident Evil glasses. Anytime they try something multiplayer, it's atrocious.
I've been through this.
I'm going to be honest. When games tend to try and do that, they don't.
Yeah,
you generally don't hit.
Yeah. Fair.
Remember Resident Evil Versus, everyone?
Oh yeah, that came back.
I remember trying to play the beta with you.
Do you remember we tried to play the beta?
Yeah.
Do you remember the 4v1 with the dungeon monster?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I can't remember what that was called.
For that.
What was that one called?
Wasn't that just tacked onto the 3 remake?
Oh, it might have. No, it had its own same game. It had its own game.
You got the beta off of remake.
Okay.
Anyway.
Interesting.
Anyway, so that's my number 10. Halloween DLC.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Damn. These one, look at us. We're
Yeah, this list is
Along
not
with
going to
that.
stay the same. Yeah, it's not. I can tell you right
Surprised.
now, number 9 is not going to be the same game.
Surprise, number 10 was Alan Wake for Despawn. I thought it would have been higher.
Yeah,
Just because of how much you're a general fan of.
It was a
of
good
Alan Wake.
year, man.
it was.
It was
very
no,
good
100%. I agree with
It was a
that.
good year. It was a good year. Back to you, Crash. Though number 9.
My number 9 game is going to be a game that I don't think any of you guys have even played. Wuthering Waves,
I
which
played
is a gacha game. You played it, Despawn?
Yeah, I tried it.
Oh, okay. I really enjoyed the combat in it. Story, not super great, but it had like a Pokemon catching mechanic where you would beat monsters, they would drop souls, and you can catch them, and then you can equip them on your character and use them for moves or summon them and stuff like that, depending on what it was. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I really enjoyed filling out the quote unquote Pokédex. It's not a Pokédex, but filling out that system for me was super fun. While it was there, I played it a lot. They did the 2.0 update. I went back into it, but that's New Year, so I'm not even counting that in my view of it. Honestly, what really gripped me with the game was the combat. I just found the combat to be a lot of fun, and there was a lot of challenging portions of the combat that was very enjoyable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking at this game. We all know, yeah. If you,
No, it's not- no. I wouldn't have expected it to be anyone's game on this podcast, to be 100%.
Yeah,
That's why I was kind of surprised that Despawn had tried it.
When I say that I tried it, like I did the tutorial section, got to the first town, had a wander around, did a couple of fights. That's about as far as I got.
Yeah.
Like,
I
don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but it was one of those things like I got an hour into it or so, turned it off. I think
Never
maybe
thought about
like
going back.
2 months later, I realized it was on my hard drive and uninstalled it.
No, that's fair. I don't think it's in any of you sort of game.
2025, Crash, different year, man. I'm a new man. I'm gonna play all the gotchas.
You're gonna play it? You're
Yeah,
gonna play all the
gotcha.
gotchas? Yeah.
Every gotcha.
The more physics, the better the gotcha is for Fizz.
Hey, you know
Give that
what I'm
jiggle
looking
physics.
for, baby. You know what? Hey, don't say out loud like that, Jesus. It makes me sound worse. But you know what we're talking about. Stop. Let's just allude to it, Jesus. I mean,
Jiggle
I don't know what he's talking
physics.
about, Mum. I don't know what he's talking about. Matt, move us out of here. Number 9, what you got?
I'm heading out. Let's go to Black Myth Wukong as my number 9 pick. A really, I think decent Souls-like game that had some of that kind of wonder and just fucking cool shit. Just cool arenas, cool bosses, cool mythos and narrative. I just enjoyed it way more than I thought I would heading into it. And again, kind of like, controversy aside, bullshit aside, it's a pretty good game, isn't it? I liked it a lot.
Controversy.
The studio are like really anti-feminism. Like they gave out review codes with the proviso that you wouldn't talk about feminism during your review or stream.
I do remember
I was
this.
like,
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean? But hey, I think the game's really good, right? And like, yes, I definitely had my frustrations with it in that it wasn't, I think, as open world as it was almost alluding to with its visuals, right? Like running into that many invisible walls was certainly immersion breaking, and all the rest of it. But I still think it was a really good game. And worth checking out if you are a Souls fan.
Okay. All right. Well,
Is it the best Souls game of the year?
Is it on anyone else's list?
Nope.
No, me either. I didn't make my list either.
Fair.
I don't feel as bad as I thought I was going to feel when I was expecting like, oh, how are you not? Is it not on your list? I was expecting more of that from some of you. Yeah,
I think
because
when we
it was up. It was up there, right, for like game of the year. Like,
Yeah.
like think of Balatro, and I know that's going to be higher on the other boys to this, but like that Balatro, Black Myth, like I was expecting more pushback from everyone for it not being on my list.
No, you got to remember these are our personal lists. Is like what you played, what you enjoy. We know what each of us enjoys and stuff.
Let me clear this up. We can give you shit,
I
but we
mean-
can't give you shit for something that's not your type of game. That's not something that.
Well, Matt's about
say
to
that,
get
Crash.
it. Matt's about to
question.
get it. So don't say that.
Yeah.
Matt's about to get it. I promise you.
But
Okay.
you say that, Crash. But like, Elden Ring was one of MC Fixer's top 5 games of the year when it came out. So it is his type of game, theoretically.
I stand on that. I stand on that
logic.
business.
You're correct. Fix, what is wrong with you? You haven't even tried this game? That is so crazy.
You are a Souls guy, Fix. Elden
You know
Ring.
why?
Yeah.
You know why though? Look, yeah, I'm probably. You say what? Look, yeah. You don't want to disrespect me, yeah. I get it. I understand. Like I'm a bit of a meme sometimes, yeah. But let's just put it out there. Sekiro, I played a lot of.
Did you beat
Yeah. Elden Ring, I played a lot of. Yeah.
Did you beat it?
Like,
Yeah.
Dark Souls, Demon Souls when that on PS5 when launch title played a lot of. What's the one everyone loves about the
one
FPS?
common question.
What's the one with everyone moans about the FPS? What's the Bloodborne? Bloodborne. I played a lot of. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna ask it this time.
Yeah,
not worth asking it.
No way.
Put some respect on my name, yeah.
As a pig.
What, Crash? What? Oh, you want to start? You want to start, Crash? You want to fucking start with me, bro? You want to fucking go there? How many games you beat on this goddamn list? Don't chat to me about beating
On
games.
this list?
Yeah, we'll get you a game of the year, motherfucker. I know you didn't beat shit.
Okay. We'll get to it because
Get to it.
I didn't beat one of the 3 games I said I would beat, and I beat the other 2. So we'll get to it.
Come at me about beating games. It's 2025, yeah. I'm gonna in the first month of January, I'm gonna beat more games than you beat the entire year.
Whoa, bro, chill out, bro. It's not that serious of a conversation.
Whoa,
calm down.
I felt like we needed some content. I felt like we needed some
Got
content.
it.
You know,
Got
I'm
it.
I'm fine. I just felt like we needed some content. Who's going with it anyway? Who's number?
Crash.
Yours.
Matt. No, Matt. Matt did me. Okay. Me. All right, I have put Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 9 for me. Enjoyed my time with it when I played with you guys. Zombies modes really. I think if we had more time, we would have played loads more of that together. If we in an ideal world where we're all single nerds and we just play games every single second of the day. Oh, sorry, Crash. I know that's what you are. Wow.
Got him.
No, but like, all seriously, just if there was unlimited time, I think the 4 of us would have played so much zombies together. I really, really do. Like the 4, 5, we did like a longer stream than we were expecting to, however long it was. Playing that, I had a good time. Multiplayer this year for me, it wasn't it for me. And I think I've just learned that I'm not into these sweaty games anymore. Like if there's a game out there where you have to sweat your tits off to even be somewhat comparable, like I'm just not interested anymore. And I think that's what I've learned moving forward in my gaming years. I'm old now, you know, I ain't got time for it. Forgot a game on my list.
Well, I forgot COD because I'm looking at my list going, shit, I should have had COD on here.
Oh, no, I fucked everything up.
COD's not on my
list. Is it a big fuck up?
Well, put it this way, X-Defiant's not on this list.
Oh, shit.
I forgot about X-Defiant.
We'll allow you COD / X-Defiant.
No, because X-Defiant's going to be so high.
Okay.
We're early enough that you can shift it.
You can shift. What was your number 10? Alan Wake DLC?
We'll give him 11.
Number 11.
So Alan Wake's out. Call of Duty's at number 10.
No,
you're keeping it?
You gotta live with your life decisions.
So X-Defiant's not going in there, or you're knocking something else out?
Something else will be moving. Don't you worry.
Oh.
Okay, wow, okay.
Like a hot swap? Oh my god. Like
hot swap.
top 5 hot swap?
The number 8 game's
I'm
getting
okay
kicked
with
out.
it. It is the number 8 game, and I'm okay with it.
Can we know what the number 8 game was?
When we get there. When we get there. When we get there. Yeah. When we get there. Yeah, Call of Duty. I enjoyed enough of, again, I think this is one of those games for me, and it's you can never say COD is bad.
Yep.
When you play a Call of Duty game and you sit there and look at all the components of it, I didn't get around to playing the story, unfortunately, and I know bad on me. But I just I look at all the components of COD, and there is a fantastic game in there. Yes, there is issues with the multiplayer. There's issues with cheaters. There's issues galore. But the experience in which I had with Call of Duty, especially now that it's on Game Pass, and that's the issue with Game Pass. I love Game Pass, but it does allow me to jump in, play as much as I want of it, whether that be 5 hours, 10 hours, or 3 hours, and then jump out. And that was my experience. And that is the issue with Game Pass for me, you know, where I am in a privileged position where either I paid for Game Pass, acting like Xbox gave me shit. They didn't give me nothing for this. But yeah, you know what I mean? And that's kind of my experience with COD. It deserves to be on the top 10 list. but it doesn't make it any higher than 9 on my personal list.
I
Not on my list
completely
at all.
didn't
Not
include
on
it
your
on my
list
list.
at all.
It was one of
No.
the, it's like you with X-Defiant. I completely forgot about it, and it
Yeah.
would be so high on my list if I'd have remembered. I'm not changing my list. Like I will stick with my mistakes. But yeah, I really enjoyed multiplayer. Like I like genuinely like this is one of the ones that I sunk so many hours into and like felt like I was doing good on it. The story was fantastic. Graphically, it was beautiful. I think they did like a lot of cool things with zombies as well. Like like just one of the best like COD experiences I've had for a fair few years now. Yeah, man. I wish I put it on there.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, me too. I think it would have been, maybe 10 or 9 for me, but like as a full package of just nailing every aspect of it, from story to zombies to multiplayer, it probably should have been on my list, but I did forget about it.
You can shift stuff around if you want. The
Yeah.
same
No.
thing Fix is doing.
No, I don't want to. Maybe
I am
it's 11.
definitely moving stuff.
I'm looking.
You
I'm,
need to
look,
go
I'm
with
also
that,
looking
yeah.
at my 11, going like, man, maybe it should have made it on. Maybe it should have made it on above Helldivers.
It was a tough year to
It's a tough
pick
year.
the top 10, to be honest. I had a lot of games that I was like, this was one of the ones that I was like, oh, maybe it goes in over Balatro or Wuthering Waves gets knocked out or something like that.
Yeah.
So it usually like the bottom aren't like super, super competitive because where the cutoff of like, these are the top games. You'll have those bottom 5 that'll fight for where they go, but you generally know what they are, at least for me. Where this year, I'm like, the whole list is kind of from top to bottom is very competitive to a degree.
Yeah. And I didn't think it would be either. Like before I started writing it all down, I was like, been a bit of a weak year. Like I think in comparison to last year, but
No
actually,
chance.
you look down and you go like, no way. Yeah, no way. Despawn, you're up,
Hi.
mate.
Okay,
You're
number
nine.
9. Number 9. Oh, this is one I don't think is going to be on anyone else's list. But I don't know if it's just the northern in me. But number 9 is Thank Goodness You're Here.
Oh, not the game I was expecting.
Oh.
I don't know what this
Crash.
game is.
So this is.
Oh, it's so not a Crash game.
Yeah, it's not a Crash game. It is like it is quintessentially the British like platforming kind of like story
you do know
based.
Crash.
You
Crash
do.
Google it. You'll know exactly what
You'll
it
know
is.
exactly what it means.
Yeah,
Thank
go on.
goodness you're here. It's like the humor is amazing in it. It is like they say it feels like a British sitcom. It's like part sketch show, part like Untitled Goose Game. They've done a really good job. The way that the game works is like you are in like, a little guy in a little like when I say little guy, I mean a little tiny guy.
You're a little guy.
You're a little guy, just a little cute guy, walking around. You're visiting a town, and yeah, basically, it is you just going around this town solving problems for people. But the way that it works is the game runs on a loop, and as you keep going around the town, the story changes slightly, and you keep solving different missions for people, and it just gets funnier and funnier, and it's more ridiculous. Like there's a point where a guy gets stuck in a manhole cover. And then you've got to, as you go around the loop, you go into a butcher's and steal their lard to use as lubricant to get him out of the manhole cover. And it's just, that is the kind of, and it's got Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows and the Mighty Boosh in it as one of the voice actors. It's a free 4-hour game. It's hilarious. You can finish it all in one session, and I recommend making the time to do that. Yeah, it is a fantastic experience. It's like one of the best experiences I've had. Like, it's such a good palate cleanser of like, you got all these super serious games of like, like your CODs, your X-Defiance where you're sweating, and then like these big like harsh like Souls-likes and like big story missions and all that kind of stuff. And it's like just 3 hours of being a fun little guy running around town slapping people. Yeah, there's 2 buttons. You move, you slap. That's it. And it's like, yeah, you can run around and just slap people. It's funny.
Can I slightly muck up the order by saying my number 8 is also Thank Goodness You're Here?
There we go. Nice.
All right.
So there we go. Yeah, I agree with everything Despawn said. But I think like it's a far better game than it needed to be. Like it's a comedy game at heart, but also it's got a really interesting gameplay loop mechanic. And the way that you traverse these kind of, semi-small open world areas to the next one, there's no missed opportunity for a joke in here. And and it's brilliant. And yeah, you can't go into too much detail without spoiling it, right? But like, and you can't tell people about it and make it sound as good as it is because it's comedy. You just have to experience it, right? And so, thank goodness you're here is well worth checking out.
What? All right, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I heard either of you two talk about this game on the podcast all year.
When did you guys play it?
Rubbish. When it came out. I don't know whenever it came out.
Yeah, I played it like the week it came out.
Late summer? August?
We're not saying you didn't play it. We're saying you didn't talk about it.
I don't remember hearing either of you talk about this game.
Go back and find the clips.
Don't get me wrong. I will totally admit that there have been episodes where you guys talk and I just absolutely zone out.
Equally, there have been, 4 to 12 week periods that I haven't been on the podcast. I may have played it in there and just not talked about it there for the podcast.
I'm more looking at Despawn, if I'm being totally honest with you.
This could be a game that Despawn, because sometimes Despawn will give like a list of like, I played these indie games, and he'll just say the title and he won't really talk about it.
That's true.
This could have been like in one of those batches. But what I want somebody to do is get a good PNG of Matt and Despawn and just edit their lips moving up and down talking about the game.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Crash.
That was this. Back to Crash.
So it's back to me for number 8.
Yeah.
My number 8 game is Pal World.
That was my number 8. Until I adjusted my list.
Oh, that's what you got rid of.
That's what's good.
Got it. No, that's fair. I really like Pal World, to be honest. I think going around catching not Pokemon, going around catching pals was very fun. I think the base building was really fun. The gathering resources, using resources to build weapons, like the mix up between Ark and monster catching. I'm not going to say the word because I don't want this podcast to get sued.
Thank you.
The mashup between it, I think, was really good. And it is, in a lot of like the Ark type games, there are certain mechanics that don't function super well, and I feel like this game had like a lot of quality of life stuff, and a lot of that was brought through the pals. And so I think there's a lot of really cool stuff for people who are into that survival genre. And then who doesn't like a good monster collection game, and it functions how it needs to function. This is one where it was almost not going to be on my list, but I've wanted to go back to it since I stopped playing it. I just haven't had the time to. I couldn't not put this game on my list.
Yeah, like it's not on my list now. I have taken it off because I forgot about Extra Fire, and I will openly admit. So I've done some rejigging, but this would have been my number 8 as well. The reason it's not on my list is because I didn't play enough of it. It come at like a really bad time in my life, right? As I just moved house. So we got to play it together. We set up a server. We did all the good stuff. And I totally agree with you though, Crash. This was 100% a me game. Like it had all the quality of life that you expect, that you wanted it to have with the pals. It had that collector in me moment of like, okay, we're going to go get this type and this type and this type and this type. It worked. That's the one thing I want to say about this game. Like this game could have easily been one of those games that came out and we were all excited for it, and it was just broken mess. And it wasn't. Like it launched really well.
There were certain things like dungeons were kind of a mess if you played them with multiple people. But even without that, I still wanted to play more, regardless of that. That didn't hinder my want to play more. And even going back to it, like my thought on going back to it is, I don't know if dungeons will be fixed or anything like that, but I don't really care because that's not like my main appeal to going to play that game again.
Yeah, the loop is the main thing. I think, the capturing pals, building bases, upgrading your abilities, well, not abilities, but like your unlocks, like the Ark-esque unlocks that you can get. I think that loop just worked perfectly from day one. And I think everything, like you mentioned there, like the dungeons and things, the broken bits were like superfluous to me. Like I'm not a big dungeon crawling guy. Like I'm not going to go off and do all the dungeons on my own unless I really need to. The towers, like I'm not going to grind to get to the next boss level. Like I just like building my own little base and automating it with pals. It was like, and all that worked. Didn't make my list, but it should have done.
Didn't make my list either, but like I think it did a really interesting thing as well of like allowing you to do the thing that Pokemon would never. Capture people and enslave, rabbits and shit. Like
give
it's
them a
just
gun.
like It knew exactly what it was doing. It was so unashamed to do exactly that thing and just double down on it in every sense. Yeah.
You see the ball mechanics back as well?
Is
They
it?
brought it back. I didn't know that.
I think there's like, it pops up on my Reddit every now and then, like the Power World subreddit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the mechanic of like throwing, I don't think it literally leaves your hand, but that mechanic of like doing that now is back, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think they're working their way through like, how can we get around this without stripping everything away? One thing I will say is it reminds me of like, not to the same level, but like it reminds me of like, I need a sequel. Like a sequel for this game would slap so much for me because they would have fixed so many of their issues if they launched day one with dedicated servers on consoles as well, whether that be on PlayStation and Xbox. I think I would. I know I should just go back and play it, go back and play what's there, and they're going to keep updating it and stuff like that. But I probably won't. But a sequel for this, I think, would really get me in the right moment. It could be big for me. You know.
What about like because I don't think it's like at its 1.0 version.
No, I don't think it is.
So what if it has like a big like, here's the 1.0 official release. It comes with a bunch of content, a new map, or something like that. Do you think that would get you, or it has to be like a new game?
You know me, old game's old, man. Old game's old. That doesn't change in 2025, boys. Old game's still old. Yeah. So, Matt, your number 8 was the same.
My number 8 was thank goodness you're here, so we can blitz straight by that. Back to you for your new number 8.
My number 8 now is it will be Dead Rising. Dead Rising Remaster Deluxe Edition. Look, I love Dead Rising. I love Dead Rising. I've always loved Dead Rising. Playing through this, I realized how much of Dead Rising I probably didn't understand when I first played it. Because the story behind Dead Rising to me was like, this was obviously a launch 360 game, right? And I remember when my dad got the Xbox 360 in the shop, and I remember playing this in the game shop and being like, oh my god, look how many zombies there are. That was like the big moment, right? And then I hated the time mechanic. I hated missions run out of time. That's what Dead Rising was then. So, you know, it is what it is. Now, obviously, they've added, it's still there in this version, but I think if you unlock, I didn't realize even in the original game, you unlock a new mode where you can go and do a bunch of other stuff without time limits and stuff. But yeah, it just done everything that I wanted it to, right? Like it upgraded the graphics. It was literally what I expect a remake to be in 2024. Like, sorry, a remaster, because it isn't a remake, a remaster to be in 2024. I was a little bit upset when they first announced it because I wanted a remake. And then I realized I don't want a remake. It doesn't need a remake. Like, Dead Rising 2, on the other hand, if they wanted to remake that, I'd be very happy. But I just love Dead Rising. Like, it's silly, it's wacky, it's dumb, it's fun, it's stupid, and it doesn't overstay its welcome if you don't want it to, either, which is huge, I think, in the game, right? Like, it's a game that, like, it can be frustrating if you don't get the missions done that you want to get done, but it can also be you want to experience this story from A to B to C to D, and then boom, you're done with it. You know, I think I beat in like 20 hours, maybe a little bit less. And yeah, it was just cool to be back in that world. And it reminds me of how much I love that world. And I would love to see a new game. I don't think we'll get a new game as such. I think we're going to get a bunch of remasters now or a remake, which I'm okay with. So yeah, but for that reason alone, it was had to be on this list at number 8. Yeah, definitely was there. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, always there.
Brilliant.
Anybody else got it? Anyone else play it?
Never. No. I actually never picked it up. Like I wanted to. Like, I loved Dead Rising originally, but yeah, I never jumped in.
Old game's old, as they say.
Old game is old.
No, it's coming out in 2024.
It's a very old game.
Come out in
very old game,
guys. It come out this 2024.
Just painting something new doesn't stop it being old.
Oh well, let's wait for your list at the end of the year when Metal Gear drops. Everyone, okay? I'll be watching you all. I'll be watching
on my
you
list.
all.
I'll tell you that much.
It'll be a new experience for me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, me too. Actually, maybe it will.
So,
I hate you. Go on, D-Spawn.
Here we go. Number 8. Again, probably not on anyone's list because, you know, indie boy over here. Number 8 is Indica.
Ah.
I and you can shake your head about me not mentioning Thank Goodness You're Here, but you know for a fact I mentioned Indica. I love this game. It is quintessentially why I love indie games. They tell weird stories in weird ways with, weird mechanics. This is it is how to describe it without spoiling it. You play a nun who has a weird demon voice in her head, and she goes off on a journey. That's about all I can say without spoiling anything. It is quintessentially is a walking simulator. You kind of like your Gone Homes kind of thing, but like it has a bit more of an in-depth story to it. It does some really interesting things with like some 8-bit graphics in like flashbacks. And it with, again, don't want to spoil out, but the way that it uses them, the story that it tells to then start dealing with like trauma and abuse, and just it gets into some deep shit, but it does it in a really weird, messed up way. It feels like a kind of like an art house Russian like indie movie in a video game, and it is like a very unique experience for this year for me. It's like if Hellblade was made by A24 kind of thing. Like, it's just weird.
Like that.
Yeah. I'd recommend, like, if you are into your weird indie kind of games and like you just want a new experience, go check this out. Like, there is with the midway point in this game that kind of really like leans into Indica's kind of like childhood traumas and stuff like that, and why she became a nun and all this kind of stuff. It's so interesting. And yeah, like, definitely like deserves to be in my top 10 list for me.
I like it.
Fair enough. Crash.
Oh, number 7, correct. My number 7 game is Marvel Rivals. Came out, took the world by storm. I was really tempted to put this game a lot higher than it was, and I just lowered it because I'm like, I'm in the honeymoon phase. I'm overvaluing where this game is. So I knocked it down a few points. I'm going to tell you, originally it was in the number 4 spot. And I lowered it quite a bit to number 7. Yeah, what can I say? I love every character in this game to a degree. I think it's a lot of fun. I enjoy playing all 3 roles. I think they've done a lot of like just base stuff that people have wanted from Overwatch for a long time, without compromising the fun aspect of the game. And the game is always fun. You always find matches relatively quick. There's a lot of care into the characters, the designs, a lot of love in it. And visually, it's just a stunning game. I think visually it is up there for one of the best looking games design wise. I really see this being one of my favorite multiplayer games to jump into for the foreseeable future as of right now. I don't really play multiplayer games anymore like that as well. So
yeah,
so more streams, some streams coming from Marvel Rivals. Love that. Love to hear that.
Yeah.
Love to hear that. Remember you said you want to stream more.
This is, I don't know if this is a game. This is probably a game I should look into streaming.
For sure.
I do want to stream more though. That's correct.
Okay. Good to hear, Crash. Good to hear.
It's
got to be on someone else's list. It has to be.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get
It's
there.
on my list. Not saying where, but it's on my list.
You said the last time you said it. So wait, what are we doing here?
Well, I only said it last time because I could piggyback straight off of
Okay,
Despawn
fine.
because it was there right away.
Fine. Okay. Damn, it's
So
higher.
yours is a
That
lot
means it's higher. That's a lot higher then. Damn. Okay. Interesting. I hadn't even played the game until like last week.
Yeah, but then while he was on vacation, he was hitting us like
every day.
Like,
Marvel Rivals?
Anyone
got some of that Rivals?
Marvel Rivals?
I forgot about that. Good
Yeah,
fun.
and guess how many games we all played together? Big old goose egg, gang.
No, you guys
I blame
played. That's a lie.
Time Zone.
You and Despawn
You two
definitely
played,
played.
yeah.
I saw you in the Discord.
You motherfucker.
Fine. All I'm saying is every time we talk about this, Fix is always like, just hit me up. Just hit me up. Just hit me up.
He's been sick.
I've been
Is he
sick.
sick?
I've literally
Yeah.
not been well.
I got you, Fix. I got your
Pain.
back.
God damn it.
The only
Fight
person
through it.
give you shit for not playing games with them is me. Remember that.
Yeah. All right, fine. What were we on? 7?
7.
That's what's Matt.
7 me, sorry.
Yeah.
My number 7 is Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Ding, 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 ding. Me too.
Hey, great minds. Not that we've moved around our lists at all to fit that.
No, this
But yeah.
didn't move.
Okay,
This didn't
fair
move
enough.
for me. This didn't move for me.
Some things have moved around on my list while we've been talking. But
yeah, my list has moved 3 times.
Silent Hill 2 remake, I think playing it and then realizing I don't think I have played Silent Hill 2 before, or at least I haven't in a very, very long time. I was thinking of Silent Hill 1. And then sort of coming to the realization that I don't necessarily know everything that's happening in this game, which is quite exciting, and experiencing it relatively fresh. It's just really good, isn't it? Really impressed with Bloober Team, step up from the medium. I think it's ultimately held back by it being a remake and it having a very old-fashioned story and them feeling quite tied to that. And, it does feel like it's being hamstrung by what the original was a lot of the time. And so I am infinitely more excited for what Bloober Team do next, whether it's Silent Hill or not. I think whatever it's going to be is going to be really, really interesting, I hope. And yeah, I think as an almost unwinnable project, people who evangelize Silent Hill 2 were always going to be very, very difficult to please. And I think pretty unanimously across the board, they've pleased those people. And so what more can you really ask for? I think it did everything it needed to do, and was as good as it could have been, and was very good indeed. And I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Everyone I talked to who were big Silent Hill 2 fans love this game, right? And I think that gives you, that's testament to how good the game is and how good a job Bloober Team did. For me, again, very, very similar experience. I hadn't played Silent Hill before, ever. I owned the triple pack they did on 360. And I was going to play that beforehand and then decided not to. And again, it's one of those experiences. Anytime I get to play a game with H, it's always my favorite way to play games, especially with her reading the notes and me playing the game and all of that good stuff. But yeah, the game itself was fantastic, right? I was critical of the game's combat, and I'm still critical of the game's combat. I still don't think the combat system is amazing. It's perfect, but it's perfect for what it's meant to be, right? And I think that's what you just said. It's a system in which, and again, I am comparing it to your Silent Hills, your Resident Evils, and your Alan Wakes.
Yep.
And I think comparing the two is unfair, but they're in the same genre. That's what you're comparing it against, right? And Alan Wake, in every way, shape, or form, feels like has a better combat system than Silent Hill 2 does. But they are extremely different games. So world building, storytelling. Like you said, it's very much a game of its generation of when it released, and that is for better and worse. And yeah, I still think it had to make my top 10 list 100%. Shame we didn't make it to Xbox. I feel like it's one of those games that I get it, and money's money, and money talks at the end of the day. I played it on PC in the end, but yeah, it was a fantastic experience that I'm glad I had, and yeah, it had to make the list. So I'm glad that it did, to be honest with you. So yeah, number 7 for me, Despawn.
Didn't make my list.
Did you beat it?
Nope. We talked about this. Every time I tried, I felt sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, don't know what it was, motion sickness, but yeah. So I never got around to finishing it. But I agree with what you guys are saying. For the amount that I did play, I think it was very much like it was a game of its time, for better or worse. It stuck. I think it didn't take any risks from what I felt like, from what I'd seen and what I'd played. It took 0 risks with the story, and like you say, it just I think it was Bloober being all right, we've got this IP, let's be careful with it. And maybe in the future they'll start playing around with those kind of ideas more, but if they do it of a Silent Hill, or if they they do their own thing.
Yeah, I think you'll never know whether it's who's being careful versus who's telling you can't take a risk, right? I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen maybe to be really changing up what the formula is. What I would say is as far as the more in depth you go into the story, the more you are willing to find all the collectibles, turn over every stone. I think there is some stuff there that is interesting for fans of the original of maybe this isn't exactly what it seems. Maybe it is an evolution on what Silent Hill 2 was. But in very subtle, out of the way things that most people would never get.
Okay, because I've had spoilers. Are you talking about the collection of the pictures?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'll say no more. Cool. But yeah, moving on from me. My number 7.
7.
7.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My number 7 is, I feel wrong putting this on because I didn't complete it, but I played enough of it for me to count it. Shadow of the Erd Tree. Yeah,
Fake fan. You didn't beat it. You don't deserve to even talk
How much time
about
did
the
you put
game.
into it? How much, like, are we talking 4 hours?
No, I put a good,
What's wrong with
like,
4 hours?
Yeah, what's wrong with 4 hours?
I was just random time. Random amount of time.
I feel like I put a good, like, 7 or 8 hours into it minimum. Like, for what it is, I think, like, I got a good feel for it. Yeah, it's more Elden Ring, which is never a bad thing. Like, from last year being like the year I finally got into Elden Ring, and I beat it. I don't know if anybody else beat it last year. Anyone beat Elden Ring?
I played so much of it that I got all the way to the end, and I found it so tiresome that I just
too
decided not
easy,
to
right?
beat it.
Too easy.
Yeah,
It's not worth Vix's time.
Yeah, I get you.
I just want to put it out there. Yeah, I got to the final boss and died for about 4 hours straight. Like, it's not like with a co-op partner. It's not like I didn't try and beat the game.
I mean, I've just said I soloed him in 3 attempts. Just
cool story, bruh. Cool story.
just saying, just saying. But no, Erd Tree is more but different, and I think like I really enjoyed what they did for some of the bosses. I think like they were a really good evolution of what they did in the main game. I felt like I had some issues with it being like a bit too open world, which is a weird thing to say. Like there was a lot of just running across empty fields, but like it wasn't as condensed as I felt like Elden Ring's main story was, like where every like few feet I was fighting something. Whereas I just like I there's not much I can say that isn't. It's more Elden Ring. I really enjoyed it. I thought like the combat just felt good. I enjoyed the way that they kind of, it didn't just let you go in OP from spending 150 hours playing Elden Ring, whereas like it had its own built-in kind of upgrade system. And yeah, like I really enjoyed like going around and finding those and kind of like making it a bit more like standalone in its own right. I think the story that they were trying to tell was really interesting from what I saw of it. It's just my Elden Ring, baby. I still want to play it co-op with you guys.
Maybe one day, or maybe not.
I mean, this month would be the perfect month to do it. Just to put it out there, this month is the quietest month for new releases. So if that is something you are actually genuinely wanting to do, I own it. I'm ready. You talk me through how to sort out the mod and all that stuff. I am ready to go. I am down to do it this month, 100%.
Okay, we'll sort out.
Cool.
Is it on your list, Matt?
It is not. It is not, and that is more of a I don't think DLC should be on these lists, and therefore it's not on my personal list. It would be right, like if I felt differently about that, but I don't. So there it is.
If you did feel differently, where would it be?
Maybe around here. Maybe a bit higher. Maybe 5 or something. Maybe. Look, I think it's great, right? And like it definitely has a lot of those Elden Ring moments where you wander into a new area and go, how can this be this big? How can this be this fucking cool and amazing? And loop back to that other area, and it's got all that classic From Software wonder and adventure and just fucking awesomeness.
I think for me it's that very first moment when you finally step into the world and right at the distance you see a fighter giant just wandering. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, this is going to be something. Yeah, this is going to be something interesting, right? And then when you finally take down your first fire giant, and it's just, it does that thing that Elden Ring does so well. When you finally beat a boss, it just makes you feel cool.
Yeah, totally. And I haven't quite finished it yet. I will, maybe even today, but we'll see.
You won't finish it today.
You will.
I'm right there.
Yeah, me too, mate. Me too.
Well, you ain't, because you've got about 60 hours worth of DLC to play. So, and you still haven't beaten the Lord of Blood. So, what you can do?
Who's the Lord of Blood?
Exactly.
He never fought him. He doesn't even. He literally doesn't know who his character is.
Let me just I've played a lot of the game. I couldn't name you a single boss.
Yeah,
No,
which
but you
is
haven't
fair,
played this boss.
but you haven't played that boss.
It's a side. Let's get a side boss.
But I'm just letting you know. Whether I beat the boss, shout on the boss, pissed on the boss, it doesn't matter what I would have done to the boss. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just playing. I played the game to make you guys happy, and you're still not happy.
In my head, it's much more funny that it's like a lack of respect thing. You're like, I don't know their names because I don't care because they're not worthy.
Yeah,
Margarine, don't care about him.
Yeah.
Is that the one that throws the firebolts at you at the start?
No.
Who's that guy?
You thinking of the tree sentinel?
No.
The guy after the lion guy. The two lion. See the one where you fight the two of them? Got to remember, I did try and cheese this game. Remember that, guys. Remember that. Remember, I skipped through a wall to try and get past a boss. Remember that. Never forget.
You fight?
Never forget.
What? You fight two of them?
Yeah, you have that thing where you have to fight the two
talking about the
bosses.
when you're getting to the Colosseum to get to Radon.
That's it. Oh, Radon, that's the one.
Yeah.
Never forget, I fucked up Radon. Beat them up.
Interesting.
Took
Well,
me
you're
about
halfway to
5
the DLC
hours.
then. That is
Took me
one
about
of the
5
requirements
hours.
for the DLC.
So wait, do I actually have to do that before we play it or what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to beat Lord of Blood, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can't jump into Shadow of the Erdtree through. Can you?
Yeah.
Anyway,
This is a figure out after.
What number
Crash.
was that? 7.
That was number 7.
6.
Crash is
Number
6,
6. My number 6 is we were just talking about it. Shadow of the Erdtree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was good. I think there's a lot of like really amazing bosses. I think they're some of my favorite like from soft bosses are in this game. Like Mesmer, I think is fantastic. Who's the knight? The fire and ice knight or the fire and magic knight?
Yeah, I know
forgot
what
her
you're
name.
talking about. Yeah, I can't remember.
She's a fantastic boss. There's some bosses later on that you fight that I don't want to spoil too much, but a lot of really fantastic bosses. I do think that the open world stuff like Despawn mentioned does like sort of pull me out of it a little bit. I don't think for the size of the expansion they were going, I don't think going open, trying to like mimic that open world that Elden Ring had when it first released for a DLC worked super well. Yeah, I don't think it did. I think there's like a lot of like waste of time where I'm going to get a level 2 Smith Stone that I don't need to do in a game that's essentially difficult level end game. Like why am I getting a level 2 Smith Stone for what I went through? It just doesn't feel very rewarding. I'd rather there be nothing there as opposed to me going there and getting that.
I get that. I think like I don't know how they think about it. Like in the structure of Elden Ring. I mean, I suppose like you say, you have to beat Lord of Blood to get there, so it is end game. But like maybe they don't see it like that. Maybe they think like, well, if you did this path, you'd get there much earlier, and therefore.
I'm sure they could see it however which way. I don't care about their perspective on it as far as that, because like the experience is what the experience is at the end of the day.
Yep.
I'm sure they have their reasoning, exactly what you're saying. Like you don't get some of the bells until a little bit later, but you don't up until that point. You could buy every single bell that lets you buy the smithing stones.
Yeah. So
it's not really like maybe the level 7s and stuff like that you can't get, but that's beside the point. Some of my favorite bosses in the game, I along with one of my least favorite last bosses from a FromSoft game. I do not like. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't like the character they use. I don't like the narrative reasoning for that being the final boss. It feels lazy. It feels cheap. Doesn't feel like a good ending to that. Narratively, I think the DLC does like a lot of really cool stuff with certain storylines. Overall, I think it is a more positive than negative experience, but I do think there are some negatives to it because we joked about it when this year started. Shadow of the Erdtree is going to be game of the year again. I think it falls a little bit short of that, but it's still a very, very fantastic experience.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I just remembered another game I left off.
Oh, you guys suck at making lists. I only forgot one.
Yeah. It's fine. It would have been and gone by now. So,
what was it?
Astrobot.
You forgot Astrobot?
I know.
My man, Matt, forget.
Crash is dead. We killed Crash. He died. Matt, you're number 6.
My number 6 is Stalker 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Stalker 2. It gave me those Fallout 3 feels. I haven't finished it, but I'm pretty deep in, and I fully intend on finishing it. I didn't expect it to be here, but I really, really like it. I like the world. I like the vibes. The combat, I'm torn on. Like, sometimes I think it does everything it wants me to do, where I'm like sneaking around and being stealthy and getting the drop on people. And then sometimes these people are, all seeing, all knowing demigods who spot me from, miles and miles away or shoot me in the back or whatever. So I don't think the balance of that is necessarily perfect. But yeah, like, I've never played a Stalker game. I'm all in. I'm really enjoying it. I like it a lot.
Enough. My number 6 is a game you may have heard of. Rest in peace, X-Defiant. Ah, man. This is the first time in my gaming history, like, do you remember like Radical Heights came and went, and like all these games where like they had core fans of like who loved the game, and I used to sit on my pedestal just laughing, just like, you idiots, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Go play something else, you losers. This is the first time it's happened to me, and I'm like heartbroken, like literally heartbroken. And again, take everything I say with a pinch of salt when it comes to anything Ubisoft. I work for Ubisoft, yada yada yada. This hurt. Hearing the news when because again, especially with it being Ubi, I kind of, in my head, I was like, they're gonna keep going. Look, we've seen it with For Honor, we've seen it with Rainbow, we've like bloody Riders Republic still going, with its core audience. Like, there's no way they're gonna, and it just shows how expensive it must be to keep a game like this going. And then you see all the content that's come out since, and I haven't played any of it, by the way, because it hurts too much. I refuse to touch that Assassin's Creed content that looks amazing. That was like season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 were all released. Mm-hmm. Just have it all. But for the time I did play with it, I put about 150 to 200 hours into X-Defiant. It was the first shooter that I grinded camos for ever. I've never done it in Call of Duty games, and I guess that's twofold, right? You could say, well, that's because it didn't have any other progression system, so that's kind of all you had to do after the battle pass, which was always the biggest critique, I would say, for the game. Ranked was in a bad spot because it had so many cheaters, but taking all of that away, just its moment to moment gameplay was perfect for an old man like me. Because it was fast, but it wasn't Call of Duty fast. It was arcadey enough that it wasn't crazy. And I think, again, it not being the size of like a Call of Duty in terms of its player base meant that the people that got really good, like me, really got to enjoy themselves in the game. But I think it's also the thing that made the game hard to grow as well, right? Because you're jumping on and you come up against my team with 5 stack, and I'm playing with me and like the top killers in the entire game, and we're just destroying fools. And that's not a fun experience either, right? And there isn't enough players to really mix it up with like the top end players. But yeah, I enjoyed my moments with X-Defiant. I felt like each of the factions were really unique, and I really liked the idea of UB utilizing their IPs to then build in other, different maps from their games and different factions from their games and different. It worked, and for as long as it was alive, and it's still alive technically, it won't be end until June, I think, something like that. I can't remember. It worked, and it was fun, and I really enjoyed my time with it. And yeah, for it not to have made my list would have been travesty. So I'm glad I remembered. And yeah, no, I'm happy with it. Middle of the pack, like around the middle of the pack 6. It could have went higher. If I'm being honest with you, it could have easily been higher. But the 5 games above it are just just a better experience for me overall. But yeah, 6 for X-Defiant. I loved it. Rest in peace. You will be missed. And thank you for changing my life in some ways, because I met a lot of great people because of X-Defiant, which is cool.
Still never tried it.
Yeah, you didn't need to.
Good.
Yeah, I did. It was good, but yeah, it wasn't my kind of FPS, I don't think.
Interesting.
Oh, I hated it at the start.
Yeah, I never got past that hated it phase. Like, the thing is, I didn't hate it, but I think I just had a solid run of like a solid week of just like, I think, like you say, I was on the other side of the good teams, and it's just like, yeah, this isn't fun for me. And there's so many other games I could be playing right now. And yeah, like I was looking for a good like multiplayer game. And yeah, I thought that was going to be it, but it just didn't gel with me. Which does bring me on to my number 6, which was a multiplayer game, which did gel with me and has been mentioned already, and is Marvel Rivals.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I am hooked on this thing. Like if it wasn't for like I was in a mood for something different for the last few days, I would still probably be playing it throughout the entire holiday period. But yeah, when this game dropped, and like I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love those characters from the comic book days, and like seeing what NetEase have done with like basically taking Overwatch and improving on the majority of everything in my eyes. I think the characters all work really well. I think the balance is generally pretty good. If you work together as a solid team, I think, it just, there's nothing quite like it. I think the team up abilities are like so unique and so special. Again, like you guys have already covered it. I think just the moment-to-moment gameplay feels awesome. I think it looks beautiful. It plays beautifully. I think the way that they're dealing with their battle passes and making all characters free is fantastic. Nothing about it as what could have done. Like it generally had the ability to be very egregious in its monetization, and I don't feel like it's too bad. Like it is very much just like some of the cosmetics are a little bit expensive, but like if you don't care about them, you can completely skip them. I feel like the progression in the back end feels very good. Like I always feel like I'm earning something new, and this is what I always like about these kind of games. Like even if I don't do well in a match, I feel like I'm always building to some things, whether it be like, oh well, I've got like the dailies and weeklies that I feel like I'm always working towards. And I can see that Crash wants to say something, and I will let you land in a second. But like, yeah, I find it hard to get like my teeth into these kind of games, like at FPS, and like because I generally play solo a lot of the time. So it's been nice to have a game where I feel like I'm always making like a contribution to the team. And like there was these moments where I think me and Matt were playing together, and he was running around and I was buffing him, and we were just like an unstoppable two-piece, just like locking down points, and it felt great. And genuinely like one of the best feeling experiences. And that's nothing to do with Matt's gameplay because he's terrible. But it felt it felt great. Like it just felt like it's a good time, and that's what you want from these kind of games. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
One of the best things the game does is how short the matches are. Even I don't know if either of you have played ranked yet. No, ranked matches are not long either. They can be a little bit longer, but even then the length of a ranked match is not that long, so you're in and out. So if you have a bad game, that bad game lasts for a fraction of time, and then you're on to the next one. So in the matter of, usually with a lot of more multiplayer games that can be on the more competitive side, if you're looking at like Valorant or even like a MOBA or something like that, the big problem with it is you dedicate like half an hour to 40 minutes to a match, and if it goes bad, it is a horrible experience. Where with this, I don't really get like pissed off if a match is going bad or anything like that. I get in a bad match, cool, I go into the next match will be fun. I'm good with it.
I think the matchmaking is really good. Yeah, the matchmaking is really good as well. Like I think you guys talked about it, like super fast, like you're in and out of matches. Like you say, I think like an average match lasts like 10-15 minutes, if that. Like if you are, especially if you're on defense and you just lock out that first point, like you're in and out like in 5 minutes. It's like no, but it feels good. Like I think all the characters play well together, and like I said again already, the team up abilities add that unique element to like while they're not overpowering, like if you use them well, like they can definitely turn the tide of a match. I think the balancing, I think they've done a good job. I think there's some things that could change. I think there are some enemies that definitely, some of the characters that could do with debuff or buffing, but like all in all, I feel like it's in a good spot.
I don't think so, because like I think one of my favorite things is the balancing. Every character in their own right, to a degree, is overpowered. Like there isn't a character that doesn't have something busted about them. Like there might be a character here or there that's like a little bit undertuned and might need a little bit of buffs. But if you look like at Scarlet Witch has a really powerful ult, it's not easy to get off, and so there is a bit of balancing there. But then you look at most characters, maybe like a Hela or a Hawkeye that are really good or a little bit overtuned for what they are. But for the most part, every character has something that's overpowered in their kit, and I think I really enjoy that aspect about it. I don't see a character on my team and go like, oh, this match is a loss because I had somebody locked in Hanzo or Genji, and they like whatever the case is. Like everything is winnable in this game. I feel like most times.
I never feel like I've got a player on my team that's using a certain character. Like, oh well, we're gonna throw. But I will say that if I ever see a Jeff on the other team, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I don't want to get spit off the side again.
Good. It's to get good. It really is just to get good.
Right? I don't know too much about the game. I've only played what I play with you boys, right? Yeah. But from what I see on TikTok, again, it's one of those games that's taken over my TikTok where everyone's like, here's the best things to do. Like, there's a bunch of ways to counter Jeff. From what I've seen. So, yeah.
And I think they released the stats and he has the lowest win rate. Play Jeff, you have the lowest win rate or whatever.
It is because maybe what you can do is just spit people off the side. He's not really good in like head-to-head combat.
I think I will say this here. I think he is the worst healer in the game. By a large.
But like what you guys are saying, right? Like the person I put the most time into is Cap, and he's constantly showing up on people's like tier lists of on TikTok and shit as like the worst Vanguard. And I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm playing Cap all day long.
So fun. He's great. Go for it. Have you? Not to get too into it, but have you played him with Thor at all?
Not in like me and you jumping on and playing Cap and Thor or whatever. No.
The team up for Captain America and Thor makes him so good. It gives him like a bunch of like for 8 seconds or something like that. It gives him ranged autos that bounce off of enemies. It's so good.
Yes, I've seen that. Yes.
Okay,
we should play.
Is that before or after?
I'll keep dropping it in the Discord. I'll keep.
Anyone got any of that? Anyone got any of that Rivals? Anyone got any of that Rivals?
I think I've got it installed still. I'll play.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Let's blitz through the rest of this podcast and let's go play.
No, we're not blitzing through nothing.
So my top 5 are.
But we are going to Crash's number 5. We're in the
my
top
number 5. Tekken 8. It's Tekken 8. I love this game. A bunch of great characters in it. My first real I've played Tekken 7 a little bit to like learn it, and I didn't get like super into it. I played this game. I absolutely loved it. They introduced some new stuff. Like you can watch your replays and you can see what move hits you, and then they let you learn. Here's the moves that counter it. And I think that's probably like the most mind blowing thing that game does. That I think is probably why I would rank it really, really high in terms of fighting games. Probably the best fighting game in terms of just like what's available in it right now. Maybe not narrative, but I don't look at fighting games for narrative. That's a whole different discussion. But yeah, I mean, I think the power of Tekken's kind of undeniable at this point. Tekken 7's been huge. They released a new game. It did really, really big. I don't think there's a lot I would look at this game and say that they didn't do great in it, right? I think a wide variety of characters. The characters play well. They're fun. I don't know. I don't have much more to add other than it's a really, really good fighting game.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can't say anything on it. Unfortunately, didn't get to it.
Was it on your list of stuff to get to?
I would have liked to have. I know Despawn really wanted to get to it. I remember Despawn being like, I love this game. This game's the best game ever. And then we go back to that. Where's it on your list?
Number
2, right?
Not 1? Played? No.
Game of the year?
2025 is the year that I am holding Despawn accountable for the things he says on this podcast. Because this guy, Crash, back me up. He comes out with so much shit, like, this game is gonna be the game.
It's like, I don't even like that game that
game
much.
I've never heard of that game. That game doesn't even exist. Like this guy, your year needs to be relaxing.
Okay.
Yeah, everything can't be amazing.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Everything can't be amazing.
I mean, can if I enjoy it, all right? Everything is amazing.
Yeah,
everything
is amazing so much that you didn't play it.
That's why it's not on my list.
Matt, go on. No, Matt, go on.
My number 5.
Yes, please.
My number 5 is Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Oh, okay.
I love this game. It's great. And look, I am fully aware it's Baby's first Persona. And I am Baby. And I am happy
Persona?
with that. What?
Who said Baby's first Persona? In what way?
Really?
I can see where he's coming from.
What?
Relationship building.
Day night cycles.
What? So if it has relationship building,
All right, maybe I'm way off. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm just super confused.
Yeah, I get you.
I'm just like trying to process like where the Persona aspect comes in, and I just don't see it. That
not in the
reaction
game. Not in the
was me just
gameplay. Definitely not in the gameplay.
no, but even I don't know. I guess I didn't put enough time into it to get to whatever.
You
Persona
put enough
aspects
time
are in
into
there.
it, brother. It's not a Persona game.
All right. Well, I wouldn't know. I've never played one. But this was what I was chalking it up to.
No wonder why this podcast is falling off a fucking cliff.
But this is what people have told me.
Baby's first
Many
Persona.
people have told
I've
me.
never played Persona game.
I've played both. I can see where Matt is coming from. It takes some small, like minuscule elements in the fact that it has got like the day cycle.
Like you have this many days to finish. But other stuff have that.
But it's like it's the first thing that people go to building relationships, which gives you new abilities and that kind of thing. Is like, yeah, I get where he's coming from. Do I agree with it? Not really, but I get it. Yeah.
Fine. Well, I don't really care.
Carry on.
I just thought it was an easy way for people to latch onto it, but maybe not. Maybe I'm way off. My point is, Dungeons and Dragons is really fucking good, and you should play it, and it's on Game Pass. So do it.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah,
I do like Persona, so maybe I will.
I feel really bad. I'm sorry for the reaction.
You should.
I'm so sorry.
I don't think you should. I think you held him perfectly accountable for his actions there, if I'm being totally honest.
Words have meanings, as I found out.
Words have meanings.
Persona fans.
2025, words have meanings.
Persona fans, get in the comments.
Yeah,
Persona fans,
I'm sure somebody's going to be like, yeah, I completely agree. It's very much like Persona. Yeah. I'm sure somebody else.
Exactly.
You're probably
wrong, but I'm sure somebody will.
Something like, come on, like, we're going to start trusting that guy.
Yeah,
Stead will back us up 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Stead will be with us.
Sure. But yeah, it's really good. The everything it does, I think it does better than it had to do. Right. And it is like a bite-sized game, right? Which is what I've been crying out for, right? Like a 15, 20 hour game that has a significant amount of depth if you want it, or you could basically treat it like a cozy game and basically not do a lot of that at all. Like you can basically turn combat not off, but like story mode, and just blitz your way through it. The biomes are interesting, the puzzles are great. The traversal is awesome. The traversal in one biome specifically is so awesome that it kind of makes you not want to go anywhere else where you don't have that traversal mechanic anymore, the snowboarding mechanic. But yeah, it's great. Check it out. It's on Game Pass. Do it.
Okie dokie. Number 5 for me is a little game. You may have heard of it. The internet hates it, but I love it. Dragon Age Vanguard. Yeah, really enjoyed. You didn't put it on your list at all. I know you suck at making lists, bro. You suck at making lists.
Horrible.
You suck at making
like a
lists.
month ago.
Yeah, but that's
right.
You need to look through your entirety of history of the games you played, not just the ones you played 10 minutes ago.
No, but what I'm saying is I played it a month ago. I should remember that it should be on my list.
Yeah. All right. Look, anyway, number 5, Dragon Age Vanguard. Valguard. Sorry. I think it is a very good start, middle, end game. It literally is my first Dragon Age game, number 1. So that could be why it's a little bit higher, because I'm not comparing it to other BioWare games where everybody else and their mother is.
Yeah.
I fell in love with some of these characters, and I think that's what they were going for, right? It had a gameplay loop that was fantastic, in my opinion. Really, really, really enjoyed the gameplay. And I think any game that makes me want to finish side missions, well, not saying they were the best side missions, but you are rewarded enough for doing the side missions, whether it be relationship bonds getting stronger or being able to upgrade your shop to then get new items, and all of that is different stuff, right? It was really good. I just think from start to finish, a big thing for me, especially as I get older as a gamer, and I'm sure we all agree, right, is the respect of your time. And I felt like the main story did a really good job of that. It's side missions we spoke about on the pod. I said there's some of the relationship missions that I'm like, I didn't quite need all of this. But the main story, I think it tells a really good story with a good twist that I wasn't expecting, and made me go, oh my God, which was nice, because you don't always get that in games anymore. Like there was you know what the moment is, Despawn, that I'm talking about. But like, it was just like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I'm sure other people saw it coming a mile off. But and Haley does it all the time, where she's like, yo, this is gonna happen. Then it happens. I'm not that person. Like, I never see it coming, which is because I'm so entrenched, usually in films or games, where I'm just entrenched in what is happening moment to moment, that I'm not thinking 10 steps ahead. So for me, this was like a really fun, eureka moment. And yeah, it was just really good. I really enjoyed it.
So 2 things. The moment you're talking about, I'm usually really good at spotting those. I did not see that one coming. Number 2, I'm making an executive decision and I'm changing up the entire list that we've just made. Basically, all of my games are dropping down 1. I'm kicking off Alan Wake DLC and I'm putting Vanguard in there somewhere.
His list cannot be respected, audience. I hope you all know that.
That's fine. You don't have to respect me. I don't care.
I respect you. I don't respect your list.
That's fine. You don't have to respect my list.
Oh, is it something that's going to come up, or it's below this point that we've already passed it?
No, it's gonna
be above this. Like, I don't know why it completely was out of my mind, and
it's that high, and you didn't.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I was just like, I was focusing on like, because I think what happened is I basically looked at like what my recent played Xbox games were, then what games I could remember, and for some reason, Veilguard, just completely.
If you didn't remember, does it deserve to be that high?
Yes. It don't deserve to be that high if you didn't remember the game.
Yes, it does, because I
could do it's your list.
Yes, my list, but because now I'm thinking about it, I'm not going to tell you where it is because we'll get into. You know what? I'm not going to tell you why that's until we get to it.
All right, okay. But yeah, I think it's one of those games where the internet tried to beat it up, and I just didn't allow it to in my brain. You know, like I could have easily bought into the internet's negativity of quote unquote wokeness and these characters and why is this here and why is that there, and it's definitely the epitome of when I was playing the game and I streamed the entire thing. Where everyone was coming to me like, "Is this game good?" And like, "Yeah," and they're like, "It looks good." I'm like, "Because it is good." And they're like, "What about this thing?" I'm like, "That thing makes perfect sense." Like, and what about this thing? That makes in this world makes perfect sense. And I just think it was one of those games that the internet, before the game came out, the internet decided they didn't want to like it, so they didn't like it. So, it's one of those things. It is what it is. I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of happy that there's no DLC coming. I'm happy that I haven't said anything about sequels or anything, but like as far as I can tell, this was a standalone Dragon Age experience. In terms of like, you could have got more out of it if you played the DLC from Origins, I believe.
Inquisition, I think it was.
Inquisition, thank you. Inquisition. You would add a little bit more context. I'm so happy I didn't have that context, because I think the story for what they told was even better because of it. And with the end, I watched all the endings and stuff. I got the ending that made sense for my playthrough as well. There's nothing worse than when you get an ending on a game and you're like, who the fuck is that character all of a sudden? Like, I don't know who the hell that is. And like, but I didn't get that. I got the ending that made sense for my world. And yeah, really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad that it's one of those games that I could have easily have not played, because I'm like, I'm not a Dragon Age fan. And I would have missed out on such a great experience. So that's my number 5.
It's on my list of games to get to.
So memorable.
So memorable.
Who knows?
Get to. Yeah. What? Yeah. He is memorable. What?
Yeah.
No, he's making fun of himself right there.
I was like,
yeah, he forgot about it. Yeah, because Despawn forgot to put it higher than number 5. So I want people to remember that.
Well, yeah, we're in a weird spot now then, Despawn, where we're at your number 6, I guess. If you're
how did you shift it? Are you still your number 5? So your number 5 that hasn't changed going forward? You're not like.
Nope, that's gone down 1. That's now number 6. Shall I just do my number 6 and my number 5?
Rerun us from bottom to this number, please.
So currently now we are on number 10. Thank goodness you're here. Number 9, Indica. Number 8, Shadow of the Erdtree. Number 7 is Marvel Rivals. What was my number 5 is now my number 6.
Okay, which is.
So do you want to do number 6 and number 5 for you?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So number 6 is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
You're fucking crazy. I hate your guts.
That's fine.
You're
you can
a
hear my guts.
fucking idiot.
That's fine. You can hear my guts. I don't mind. Yeah, I absolutely adored this game. I think, one of the best Metroidvanias of the year, if not one of the best platformers of the year. I think what they did with the story, the puzzles, the gameplay, the art style, all of it was fantastic. I tried other Metroidvanias throughout the year, and nothing quite landed as well as Prince of Persia. It is such a shame to see that it didn't do as well as it should have done, because I recommend everyone play this game. I haven't gone to the DLC yet, just because I haven't had the time. I've heard good things. But yeah, I do want to do that at some point this year, maybe in the next few weeks. And yeah, no, honestly, I've got nothing but good things to say about this game. Like some of the late level puzzles were a bit frustrating. I found some of the hitboxes in those puzzles were a tiny bit off, but when you get used to it and like you know where it is, it's like you can get through it. But it does a really good job of building up like your skill level as you go. It's like, so you just like when you get to those end game, like, you know, like one wrong move will kill you after a 5-minute like puzzle section. Like when you finally pull one of those off, you feel like such a badass. The boss fights feel amazing as well. And yeah, it is a great game. Like I said, Fix, do you hate me because I bumped it down? Or
yes.
Yeah, okay. Fix is so funny because he's nodding in agreement, but his face is visibly pissed off.
Yeah. And that's fine. It's just, again, my list, not your list. My list.
Your list is bullshit. I'm not even playing. Like, fuck you. You don't even understand how to fucking video games.
I just forgot to add.
If you were to add Call of Duty back, would it get bumped down again?
No.
Okay.
No. And the Call of Duty would not be that high. Call of Duty would have been number 1. No, and then number 5, as you've already talked about it enough, it would have been Veilguard.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And again, just to kind of like, you know, go into it, wax poetic on it myself, I think they did a really good job of respecting the people who've already played Dragon Age series, but also respecting those that haven't. I think they did a really good, with it being pretty much all new characters and giving you all new stories to like learn from those particular people. I think for the majority of it, I think they did a really good job of making me care about each of the characters. And when I finally got to, you know, when you get to choosing your love interest and all that kind of stuff, I felt like it was very well played. Like it wasn't just kind of like, press option A to be the love interest now. It felt like you were growing with that character, whoever you chose. Like some of the like early choices that actually affected the world were really fantastic. And like say, like when it comes to those endpoints where it actually starts playing around with like major decisions having major effects, and like being able to decide like who goes off on what missions and things like that. I think it did a really good job of that.
I lost my girlfriend. I lost her. It hurt so much.
I didn't lose mine. You know,
must be nice.
It must be nice. Yeah. But yeah, no. Like again, like gameplay loop. I was really worried when I first saw the screenshots of the gameplay of it being like this. Oh, it's a big like radial menu system, and it's not going to be fun. Like those moment to moment fun gameplay loops. But like as you get into it and as you start using it, and like the different characters having different buffs to your abilities, and then you start making I didn't expect it to go so hard into being able to build your own specific playstyle. So like I went very hard into being a rogue that did necro and bleeding damage, and like being able to use characters that buffed that as well, and specific characters giving you extra like revives and health boosts and things like that, and being able to build out the perfect characters and the unique abilities from that was fantastic. And it just like the way that it played out like moment to moment without using those random menus, like just the combat itself felt really good. And yeah, the different enemies felt really unique. I liked I love the art style that they went for. I think it was just like one of looking at my list.
Everything needs to move again.
Who gives a shit, you know?
No, yeah, looking at my list, who gives a shit? But I think it's like one of the best Western RPGs this year that I can't believe. Like, just I don't know what it was that just made me forget it. Yeah, I just like looking through my list. I don't know what it was. Like as I was building the list, I just didn't put it on the list. So when I've come to build my top 10, I just forgot it on there. But yeah, no, it's definitely, it deserves to be on there. I can't believe I forgot it. I feel bad for forgetting it. But yeah, it definitely deserves to be my number 5. Sorry.
There it is.
Number 4.
My number 4 game is another gacha game, Zenless Zone Zero, which has
heard of this one.
Yeah. It has by far my favorite combat to release this year. In terms of an action game, I don't think that I've played anything I've enjoyed as much the moment-to-moment combat in it. Throughout the year, they've done a whole bunch of quality of life fixes that they definitely didn't need to do. Gacha games don't really do that very often, and the pace they've done that has been really amazing. The story's been very interesting so far. The quality of it, not surprising that it's good. It is a Hoyoverse game, which is they make Genshin, they make Honkai Star Rail as well. So all of that's there. It's very, very fun. I genuinely think it's some of the best combat I've played because it has certain mechanics that are very interesting of like you start a move with a character and then you can switch to another character while the move's going on and you can transition into playing. It has a lot of like fighting game mechanics in that aspect that I really get into and enjoy utilizing. Not much more to say to that. I'm assuming none of you guys have played it.
Correct.
No,
actually, no. I have played
list.
it. I have played it when I did the mobile gaming show for Future. It featured in that, and so I played it to get some gameplay and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Cool.
I saw like 40 trailers. There's, I feel like every showcase had a Zenless Zone Zero trailer.
Oh, mate.
Every showcase will have 2 Hoyoverse trailers going forward, partly as advertisements and partly because they generally do well for the award shows or the showcases that they're at. Eyes get on them, and from what I'm aware of, they get eyes on them, which brings eyes to the showcase as well.
Would I like any of these gotcha games? I'm not going to play these old ones because, old games are
Yeah.
like a new one drops this year. Like,
if it's not Hoyoverse, I would say don't bother. Would be my thing because
you're my go-to, mate. You're my go-to gotcha guy,
They stand the test of time and they tend to have like more quality and like narratives and stuff like that where like I played Wuthering Waves story. 2.0 has been good, but the original story isn't really that great. And that's generally the case with most gotchas that aren't a MiHoYo game.
So you don't think we should get fixed on Infinity Nikki then now?
Jojo keeps mentioning it. Jojo from the community, shout out to Jojo. She keeps mentioning Haley should play it.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps going on about it. And I'm like, what is this? And then I said to her, what's it on? She's like, everything. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play on Xbox. She's like, oh, it's not on Xbox. I'm like,
gotcha games aren't on Xbox.
Yeah, totally. No.
Genshin is there. Genshin started doing worse, so it came to Xbox. But that's beside the point.
Yeah. Well, sounds about right, doesn't it? All right. Matt. Number 4, mate.
My number 4 is a game I almost guarantee none of you have played, but you should have. It's called The Little Guardsman. Little Guardsman is basically Papers, Please in Dungeons & Dragons. And if you say I haven't mentioned this on the podcast, you can go die in a fire. It came out really early on in the year, and so it was a long, long time ago. But Little Guardsman is great. Me and Emma sat down and played it together. Yes, Papers, Please in Dungeons & Dragons universe. Just a bit more lighthearted than Papers, Please. Has a time reverse mechanic so that if you fuck it up and you feel like you fucked it up, you can reverse time and go back in and do it again. Just really good. It's just really, really good.
I just love the fact that we all have such different lists.
Yeah, really different lists this year.
There's a game from each of our personalities on this list, which is nice. It's nice that we all fall into the same boat. So. Mm. Number 4 for me is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I honestly, this game could have easily been Game of the Year. Like, if I'm being totally honest, like the games above it are just that much better. But this was the first game we played back in January. I remember me, Crash. I think it was me and Crash and D-Spawn. I don't know if Crash got a code. It might have just been me and D-Spawn. I can't remember.
I didn't get a code. I played I got a code later and I played a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, but we were planning it for review, and I just remember falling in love with this game. I'm not a Metroidvania guy. No interest at all usually in Metroidvanias. And it did the thing that I think every Metroidvania should do going forward, which was the photo mechanic. And that to me was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm in love with this game. Like, there's nothing worse than remembering there's a chest somewhere, but not remembering where it is on the map. I thought the map design was fantastic. Traversal was fantastic. Combat was fantastic. I played it again, take everything I say with a pinch of salt, but I played it again for a UB stream, and I played it on the hardest difficulty, and it made me love the game even more because it just shows how good that combat system actually is when you're playing it against harder enemies. Just overall told a very, very good, fun, enjoyable story in a world, again, don't care about Prince of Persia, don't care about Metroidvania games, and love this game. Like, if you haven't played this, you definitely should. And yeah, I agree with Despawn. It's a shame it didn't sell gangbusters numbers, and that studio got to stay together and make whatever else was next. But they've gone off to different projects. They wasn't entirely fired or anything like that. They've all gone off to different projects, and I look forward to whatever that group of people can go and work on next, because honestly, that game is remarkable. Really, really good.
Agreed.
Matt, did you play it?
No.
Crazy.
That might be the biggest miss of the year for me.
Yeah, I think
because
so.
I know
it's
it.
the
Because
biggest
I know
miss.
all of it.
I think it's the biggest miss for a lot of people, and it wasn't on a lot of people's radars as well. It's definitely
Yeah.
because I know people that it's 100% up their alley. It just they didn't play it. I think part of that is just it being Prince of Persia and it being a Ubisoft game. For whatever reason, that too, like that's just hard to get people into games that they might be into sometimes.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
maybe.
Yeah, I think it was just just so many different things worked against it. I think, like, for the years before, like, everyone was looking forward to, like, the 3D Prince of Persia that was rumored and then got delayed and restarted, and, like, they, like everyone was waiting for that, and then
the remake, yeah,
and then they came out with this, and it's just like, well, it's not what we were expecting, and it's just like, and it looks different and all this kind of stuff, and then and you weren't playing as the prince and all this kind of stuff. It was like, I think like just people didn't give it the chance it deserved, which is a damn shame.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it didn't launch on Steam as well, correct?
Nope.
No, it didn't.
Not originally, no.
It's there now, but
I think that like
it's huge.
Yeah.
Do you think as well? I think like for me, like Prince of Persia is a franchise I really like theoretically, but it's had a lot of misses.
Yeah.
And so like I think like that was a part of it for me, is like we know the Sands of Time remake is in the works and is in trouble and maybe isn't happening now. Who knows what's going on with that? Like, I don't know, Prince of Persia is just one of those franchises where it felt like, oh, really? Is this what we're doing? And then, like, that other Prince of Persia game came out this year.
Yeah,
right? Or is it in early access?
Fantastic.
But the franchise is messy, right? And, like, what are we doing?
The relevance to the franchise is a little bit dated at this point, where, like, unless you're one of the older people, like, you're not really looking for Prince of Persia. That name doesn't hold a whole lot of weight, which also, like, feeds into, like, it not launching on Steam for people who might not be the legacy heads that are going to be looking for it and play on PC. Like, you're not going to go to the Ubisoft app to play that game.
Yeah, I think it was, again, you got to remember, this is the first 3D, side-scrolling 3D Prince of Persia since, like, the original, if I'm not mistaken. Something along those lines. So, yeah, it definitely was aimed at an older demographic, and it didn't do a great job of converting younger players. And like you say, it's all the things you just mentioned, right? It not launching on Steam, and I think that's why we've seen Ubi go, okay, we're launching back on Steam. Everything's back on Steam. Like, if a game doesn't come there, it just doesn't usually do well. And that's a shame, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Number 5, Despawn.
Number 5, number 4. Number 4. Okay, this is where Fix swears at me again. My number 4 is Balatro.
Sure, this you do.
Okay, number 4. My list isn't going to change from now. But yeah, my list. Yeah, Balatro. It is digital crack. Basically, what this guy has done with this game, or girl, we don't know at this point. This person has done with this game is phenomenal. Taking poker and making it a not poker game, and making it a roguelike that just like every run feels unique and different, and like you can't have a set plan because everything is random in what jokers you get and like what cards you pull and the deck you start building, and as you go along, and how like you have to have a different game plan every time. And yeah, it feels so good. I think I've completed like 2 runs at this point. And this is because I own it on mobile and PC. It is my before bed playing a game. I'll play a run of Balatro. It is the go-to game. It was Vampire Survivors. This is replaced completely now. It's replaced Vampire Survivors for that like one last game before bed kind of thing. And it is just like they've done such a wonderful job with it. The sound, the graphics, the gameplay, the loop, just everything. Seeing like the numbers that something like, because obviously at work everyone is talking about it because it was like a game of the year, and it's just like seeing everyone's like runs and the scores that they can get, and like if you build the perfect run, it feels so good. You start seeing these infinity level numbers coming up. It's just, yeah, it's so good. It's like, I know, like on paper, it's like, oh, it's a card game. It's like, I'm not a card game fan. It's like, it's not a card game. It's a roguelike. And it's just like building the perfect run, unlocking different cards. And I think that's what it is like. Like you can unlock new abilities for cards to go forwards. And yeah, it's such a good game. Like fantastic. Like deservedly so. Like when I first saw it as game of the year, I was like, really? Like a card game? But like then I started playing it properly. It's like at this point, if it had won, I would have been totally fine with it. Like it's that good.
Agreed.
Fair enough. Matt? No.
Back to Crash.
Crash, sorry.
Back to me for my number 3 game. Number 3 and above is where it gets very, very difficult. A lot of great RPGs. This is a really, really good year for RPGs. I apologize, Fix. My number 3 game is Final Fantasy Rebirth. Look, the combat, the combos you do with characters, all that stuff's amazing. The story up to what I played is amazing. I didn't finish it. And looking back at it, and I was looking at the 3 games I had to finish, which was Metaphor, Infinite Wealth, in this game, and I was like, which one do I want to jump back to? You know which one that definitively I knew was going to be last? Rebirth. You want to know why? Because it had 2 of the most boring sections in the game I've played in a very long time, in the open world areas of the mushrooms and the flying around in the desert. They completely like ruined my experience, and apart from that, I think it is an amazing game. The combat, the story, the way they gave nuance to characters that didn't have nuance before with Cloud and Tifa's relationship and stuff like that. I think it goes into like, this is what a remake is. Like Fix talked earlier about what a remaster is. I think these games have exemplified of like, this is what a remake is. You don't just take the original and like give it a fresh new coat of paint. You expand on it. You add stuff that you couldn't add before. You're given more time to add more details and make that world feel more lived in, which I think this game does successfully across the board for the most part. It's a really, really good game. I think if you are an action RPG fan and you have not played this game, I think you are 100% missing out.
And it hasn't come to your system yet.
If you, I'm sorry, if you play on Xbox or you're a Nintendo gamer.
There you go. Yeah, I'll talk about it later.
Is that me, number 3?
Mm-hmm.
That is you, number 3.
Me, number 3 is Marvel Rivals.
Christ.
What's wrong, Fix? What's wrong?
Nothing. It's your list, mate. Nothing.
Look, you know I'm a Marvel guy. You know I'm biased. You know I was like, is there a story to this? And then you guys told me the story, and I was like, oh shit, I'm in. Here we go. And yeah, it's been like crack. I've been diving in to do bits and bobs. I haven't played as many of the characters I would have liked, and I think that's like, like I don't think I've touched barely any DPS characters other than Spider-Man, because I love Spider-Man, and I think that might actually be it DPS wise. Is that really true? Maybe Punisher, because I feel like every time I log into a game, everybody's picking DPS, and I'm like, well, fuck, all right, fine, I'll try and actually win the game. So there's that sort of stuff, but yeah, I love it. It's great. The one thing I think we haven't talked about that I think they're doing really, really well is their like marketing and talking about the game and leaking stuff in quotes, like where they'll show a little trailer and they'll be like, oh, who's that up in the kill feed? That character hasn't been announced. They know exactly what the fuck they're doing. They're feeding the hardcore and they're keeping the conversation alive. And I think they're doing a really, really good job of it.
Something
and again, it's one of those games. Sorry?
I was going to say something we didn't talk about. Do you see the latest announcement?
The Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
The 5 Fantastic Four fans are going to be ecstatic.
How dare you?
Well,
there's at least 7 of us.
Yeah, and as soon as they show more footage of Pedro Pascal being all, zaddy or whatever the kids are calling it nowadays, then there'll be plenty more Fantastic Four fans.
Please never say Zaddy again.
Yeah, you're fucking way too old to be saying that.
You know how these actors get really popular and they get like a lot of roles, and eventually they get a role that just sort of starts their downward trajectory.
You think that's it?
1,000. I'm with Crash on this. Yes, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Marvel's the place because Marvel used to get newer actors that weren't really well known, and they'd like bump them up. Now Marvel's doing the reverse. But
They're
to be fair, Pedro
to try
Pascal
and bring them in to bring other people in, and it's like.
Yeah, to be fair with Pedro Pascal, they have worked with him with Star Wars, so there could just be a relationship there. But
yeah, I'm sure.
Oh no.
Give me somebody that this happened with.
Would you?
In terms of like famous people, them casting them, who's the guy Blade? The guy they cast as Blade. Where's that movie? They've been doing that. They've been casting like popular actors for movies. I'm not saying that Marvel's done it where they've casted a popular person. I don't think Marvel's done that just yet where they've killed it. But I think Marvel's in the process of going there.
Oh, never mind. Brie Larson. Brie Larson is the answer to my own question. That's who they cast, and then her career kind of like drifted away a little bit.
That's true.
I'm sure she's made plenty of money. She's
100%. 100%. But like, she was an Oscar nominee.
Furious film, all right?
You're right. You know what? I take it all back.
She was already in a Marvel movie beforehand. The Fast and Furious movies about as relevant as Marvel.
I think that's actually given more relevancy to Fast and Furious, if I'm being honest with you. So cool. It's cool. Number 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little game you may have heard it. It's called Astrobot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Astrobot, what a game. What a video game. I absolutely loved it. It again, if you're into your platformers, you'll love this. If you love PlayStation, you will love this. Kind of weird to say on my Xbox and me, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, it's a love letter to PlayStation fans and has all of the payoffs you would expect it to. To go from a glorified tech demo when the PlayStation 5 launched, and I absolutely loved it playing that and being like, wow, this is actually really good, and shows off everything what the PlayStation can do, right? And then expanding that into like a full-fledged game. I think they did a great job. I can see why it won Game of the Years, but when the other 2 games I'll mention exist, I don't see how it won Game of the Year personally. Yeah, it's just it really is. It's a perfect game in terms of from start to finish. It really is. I think like if we were reviewing it, and again we didn't review it obviously. I think I probably would have gave it a 10 out of 10 because it nails exactly what it is meant to be. You know, like there is nothing out of place. There is nothing that doesn't work. The intricacies of some of the levels are remarkable. I don't know how many guys have beat it, but like the ending credits is like a whole level as well that you go through, and it's just like wow. You see, I don't think I'm spoiling it. Like the Uncharted stuff, and then the Horizon stuff, and like all of these moments that you're having. And again, I don't know why they think Horizon is something that PlayStation.
It clearly has some sort of power for them.
Right. I don't know how, because I just don't get it. But whatever, that's irrelevant. It's just every time you were expecting a character to show up, they do.
Yeah.
You know, like you're waiting for Snake to show up. Again, you gotta remember, I grew up a PlayStation kid. So like you're waiting for Metal Gear to show up, you're waiting for Resident Evil to show up, you're waiting for Last of Us to show up, and they do. And you're like, that's cool. And then, you know, it just has that warm, bubbly, fun, enjoyable feeling about it the entire time you're playing it. You know? Yeah. And that's why it's so high on my list. Again, I didn't expect it to be. I didn't do the time trial stuff or any of that. I'm talking just strictly start to finish main campaign. If you're someone who loves to complete levels, I think it does the amazing thing with what is it? It's not the chicken, like the pay 200 coins, and then you've got the thing flying around with you, and it pretty much tells you where all the secrets are. I think that is amazing. Again, I'll say it again. My big thing for 2025 is respecting my time. That is something that respects your time so well, where it's like, hey, you need our currency, so you better save enough of it to come back and do this level so you can figure out everything. It respects your time. It's just amazing. It's an amazing game. And I really, really, really did enjoy my time with it.
Yeah, it's a little spoke about, I think, but I think the thing I like the most about it is when you collect another bot, and it pops up in the top list of like where you've collected it.
Yeah, where it was in the list.
Yeah, and it's so you can see if you've missed one, so you can like go back in the level you're in, and it's like, all right, let me go look in that area that I didn't actually explore that well. Weirdly, this didn't make my list, and not because I forgot about it. I just didn't play enough of it, and I don't think I'm the 3D platformer guy. It just I got like the nostalgia was there for me, but I just like the other games on the list had more of an effect on me. I think like I'm very much I think I'm very much an experience kind of guy, and like some of these games had like profound experiences for me. Whereas like Astrobot was just like it's nostalgia and it's fun and it's like great. It's like, and I get why it deserved Game of the Year. Like I get that, but like I just did not play enough of it for it to have that effect on me.
Fair enough.
I can't think of another game that's like exuded so much like passion and love for the thing. Like Smash Brothers, like Melee back in the day, or you know, like those sorts of things. But like, yeah, just the way it ties in the whole ecosystem with so much love is just it's a really special game in it.
I'd say I'd say Smash Ultimate, just having the respect for like its own itself and just bringing everyone back. Yeah, I think my number 3. Spoilers. It's all RPGs now. My number 3 is Metaphor ReFantazio. Yes.
I've heard it described as baby's first Persona.
Yeah, me too. I've heard that too.
I've heard it's more of an adult's Dungeons of Hinterberg than anything else.
Interesting.
Like I've struggled so hard to get into an Atlas game. Like I've tried it with Persona 3, 4, 5. What was the kind of the Persona 5 spin-off one they did as well? I've tried them all. And just none of them has stuck with me. I've always found that kind of like the time mechanic really difficult to kind of get my head around and like not feel like I'm being rushed through everything or like I'm running out of time constantly. Something about Metaphor and the way it did it felt really good. Have very much been like you've got like, I know the other ones have done it as well, but it felt like you had enough time to do everything. And it just, the story that they're telling and the world that they've built and the art style and the combat, just everything felt fantastic. And it, like Fix, you said, like, again, that it respects your time. Like, it very much did that. Like, it's like constant ability to save whenever you want, almost all the time. So you could jump in, jump out quick, like half an hour to 4 hours, depending on what you wanted from that day's experience from it. I think the way that you build your relationship with characters works really well, and the abilities that unlocks. I think the archetype system was really well done. Being able to like mix and match between each of the characters was fantastic. I loved the voice acting in this game. I played on the English voice acting, and I think they did a fantastic job throughout. A massive shout out to Stroll specifically, I think his name was. I think he did I think it's Stuart Clark is the voice actor. Like he did a fantastic job of like portraying some of the emotions in this game that he had. And yeah, I think all in all is like this is just like one of, like, because it's top 3, is one of the best RPGs I've played in a long time. Like,
I like your word in there, Deucephone. I like the way you worded that.
It's like, this is the kind of game that's like, this is the one that makes me want to go back and play Persona again, because it was such a good experience to the point where it's like, I was like, again, we mentioned right at the beginning of the show, I got a Steam Deck. It was like, this is why why you get a Steam Deck. So you can sit on the couch. Game. It's the perfect game. You just sit out, grind out a dungeon. I think that gives you the ability to do a lot of grinding if you want to, but you don't have to. Because there are specific moments you'll hit where it's like, it felt well paced throughout. Like there were some sections where I felt like I was like just like spinning wheels because I'd done everything I wanted to do and I still had like 10 days left before the next main story point. But it was like, I never felt like I was like running out of time or like I was being rushed through sections. I always felt like I had enough time to do what I wanted to do. And if I wanted to do other stuff, I could do that. I feel like there was good quality of life bits as you start unlocking in the game, and you could get like the way that the fast travel system works, and unlocking like little side areas and being able to bounce between those was fantastic. The end level bosses, like they got some really cool optional bosses, which I only managed to beat 2 out of 3. I was going to save the third one for New Game Plus, but then I remembered how many hours I put into this game, and I don't know if I could face 2 New Game Plus right now. Like I think I've wrapped up about 75 hours on this one. And yeah, none of that time felt wasted to me.
Fair enough. Fresh.
Oh, it's me.
Number two, baby.
2.
Mm-hmm.
I am not set in stone on what my number 2 and 1 game are yet.
I
told Fix this before. I know. I have to choose right here, right now.
Mm-hmm. It's the moment.
It's tough because I do think these next 2 games I have are both very, very, very good games. I'm gonna go with my gut for right now. And we get to the My Xbox and Me list. There's a conversation to be, like a legit conversation to be had. Number 2, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth for right now. Fix, you look defeated. What's wrong?
No, your list, bro. Your list.
My list.
You do.
This game is very, 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 very good. The combat is as amazing as it was in the last one. I like the class system, the way it works. I like being able to attach abilities to different characters. In fact, for like the ending bit, like the last 2 dungeons, I specifically went and leveled up a character in a different class that I didn't want the class for, but I wanted one specific ability that was really strong, and I was like, that's going to be a great ability to have, especially on this character, and it worked out very well. And so I love stuff like that. There are some stuff that I think is really cool in concept, like the weapon upgrade system. I wish there was more. And maybe it's because I mainly focus on main story. There wasn't a whole lot of time for me to really interact with that in the way that I would have wanted to, because I was constantly upgrading weapons. I felt like I was wasting resources to upgrade weapons because of that. Okay. And maybe that is a more on me than the game thing. Not necessarily negative, just a thing. I think character-wise, all the characters for the most part are like really, really amazing in this. One of my favorite characters in the whole game is a character that I didn't think I would enjoy as much as I did, which is Yamai.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I'm not going to say much else about it, but I didn't expect to like him as much as I did by the end of it. But the whole thing, the ending, the way they do the endings, I want to talk about it, but it would be a spoiler, so I'm not going to talk about it. There's a lot of stuff that the game does, and it's a very, very breath of fresh air, and it's a very, very unique way to do it. The way they managed to handle the difficulty getting harder, again, to really talk about it would be spoilers, so I'm not gonna really talk about it. But they do it in very, very clever ways. I think Hawaii as a whole was a very fun place to explore with Ichiban. I think him as a character, again, same as the last one, he's a very, very fun and likable character to have throughout the whole thing. So much so that he'll make certain choices throughout the story that you just don't disagree with, that you'll disagree with as a viewing it from like a logical standpoint, but it just makes sense for that character, and you're not mad about where the story goes with that. And you do have other more grounded characters, and the way they interact with him, I think it's all very, very well done. It is still a love story to sort of like the idea of a hero. This continues that ideology completely throughout this game, and it's done very, very well. I can't think of anything else. I'm sure we'll end up talking about it more throughout, and maybe I'll think of something else to add. But like, this is absolutely a completely phenomenal game, and I can't wait to hopefully they do another RPG like this.
Oh, we can hope. We can hope, my friends. We can hope.
So what happens in February?
Well,
no,
that's this. Yeah, I'm still going to enjoy that, but it's just not the same, you know.
Yeah.
Matt.
I should really get to Like a Dragon at some point, eh?
Nah, you won't like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
You will. You'll love it, but I just think the amount of time you got to put into that game,
that would be
you won't like it.
My number 2, clearly not on anybody's list, which is heartbreaking for me, but is another Crab's Treasure. This game is fucking brilliant. It is a really, really good Souls-like game with a comedy lick of paint. It has really interesting mechanics in the grabbing new shells as a hermit crab. sort of giving you different abilities and different ways of playing. The depth, I think, was far more than I thought it would be. It's brilliant. It's really, really good. You need to play it. I think it's on Game Pass as well, isn't
I played it.
Is it not?
It's on Game Pass. I played it. I tried it.
It was on Game Pass. I played it too.
It's brilliant. It's so good. It's so good.
Fine.
It's number 2.
It's fun.
Better than Black Myth.
Wow. That's the you said what you gotta say, man. You said what you gotta say. I respect it. Number 2. It hurts. It hurts to say it.
Say it.
But it'll get it come up soon, so don't worry about it. Infinite Wealth is number 2 on my list. Crash pretty much sums it up perfectly. Like, for me, it's a game that I feel like I shouldn't even be allowed to play. Like, it's such a love letter to its audience in such an amazing way that entering it as like an outsider to that series, you start playing it, you're like, okay, I'm not sure I'm gonna like this, because it's very clearly telling you story beats from the past, and you're like, am I gonna connect with this? And every time I was like, am I gonna connect with it? I connected with it every single time. Again, didn't complete Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
And it was like, we played it. I remember when we first got the series consoles, we played it. I remember talking about it to you guys and being like, yo, this game's, I shouldn't enjoy this game, but I really enjoy this game. You've got to play it. Didn't beat that. And I feel guilty now not beating that, because you play this and you're just like, wow, what a game. Whether or not it's you're at the bar having conversations, and you got to remember, these conversations are not like a minute conversation. These are stretched out stories of entire, you're probably looking at like an hour, like when you put them all together, right? Like all of like each of the character bonds that you're building up. It's the character bonds. It's the running around the city, doing the collectibles that are not, they are collectibles, but they tell such a interesting, important story, and that upgrades your character. And honestly, it's such a love letter to like that series, where like I do truly feel like being an outsider in it, you're like, I feel like I snuck into like a different room that I shouldn't have been allowed in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I will say they do a very good job of making you feel comfortable there, especially like the end of the game, especially, is very, very heavy on that. But they do such a wonderful job of making me feel like I was there for the entire journey and I didn't miss out on anything. And I think that's a very difficult thing to do I think this is number 8 in like the official timeline of games that involve these characters. And it's like, to be able to have a number 8 come in and it be like the first one, I think both of us fully completed. And it have that sort of impact and feel like, oh, I feel a little bit like I don't belong here, but it's still done so well. I think is a real testament to that team as well.
Like something you didn't mention is like the Sujimon stuff. Like there's an entire mini game in this game, and it's not just this one. There's multiple of them throughout the entire game that you never feel like you're wasting your time well, I at least, I didn't feel like I was wasting my time while doing. It was like you said, right? It's the perfect Stream Deck game, which is the one game I did use my Stream Deck for. I didn't enjoy what's the base building game?
Doki Doki Island.
Doki. I wasn't a Doki Doki guy, but I think that's also the magic of the game, right? Where it's like, there's so much out there to do that like this one thing might not be for you, but there's going to be something else that is. Like, I love going to the batting cage and doing that. There's so many, and that's what I love about these games, right? And we've, as our industry's got older, I feel like we've got more and more of it. Back in the day when GTA came out, being able to play Paul in a video game was like a, oh my God moment. Now it's like, I expect that in like the next GTA, I'm expecting that. In this game, it is the playing darts with your friends. It's the playing baseball. It's all of these different things. And they're not just boring little mini games that mean nothing. They mean something in that world. And there's a story that can go along with it. And it's like, oh, do you remember when we played baseball? And you're like, huh. You remember what we're doing in this world, and it feels real. And yeah, it's such an outstanding game for me. It could have easily been my number 1. but there's a specific reason why it isn't. But it's just, yeah, what a game. What a game. I love it. I love it so much.
Valid, fair. All good reasons. Yeah, it
Brings
was my
on
number 2.
Spawn's number 2.
My number 2 is just a little tiny game called Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, what can I say about this game that, it is one of, going back to the original, it is possibly the most iconic story in video games. Like the original version compared to this version as well. Like the story of Cloud and Tifa and Aerith and Sephiroth and Mako and the live stream and all of it. Like it is such an iconic like hero story in video games, and what they have done to expand on that and build like a fully fleshed out world where all the characters feel real and unique, and the stories that they tell between each other, while also like very personal, have this big massive world building story going on in the background of it all. It's just possibly the best writing in a video game this year. Like I feel like the conversations that these characters have between each other, while heightened, feel super realistic, and like seeing the relationship not just between Cloud and Tifa and Cloud and Aerith, seeing the relationship between like Tifa and Aerith and seeing them becoming like true sisters together, and seeing how that like has evolved, and then like there are reasons why this game could have been number 1. And like, as I've said already, like the world building, the combat is fantastic. I think the majority of the mini games are great. My problem with it is that, and again, we've touched on it previously, there are certain moments in this game that do not respect your time.
Yes.
That it just like some of the areas feel so dragged out and like drawn out. Like we said, the mushroom area, Gongogo, and like the canyon area didn't feel great. The side story with the relics didn't feel fantastic. Collecting those like pieces didn't feel great, and then like as you get later on into that, I don't know if anyone actually finished that side story stuff.
I finished everything.
Okay, yeah. So where it up like. How can I put this? Yeah, okay. Where it opens up a new island area that you can go to, and then that you have to do stuff to unlock things in that, and it just like it didn't like. I get it's like optional end story stuff that you don't need to do, but it just didn't feel like it fit well within the world. Like I didn't feel like I was kind of like it's a natural progression. It just felt like a offshoot that was like we needed to flesh out this game, and I don't think this game needed to be fleshed out. It's a fully fleshed out game on its own right, that some of the areas just felt like overdrawn, that like I just wanted to get to the next section, but I had to figure out how to get through this section first before I could.
I agree with that. I agree with the general sense that it doesn't need to have those extra areas, and that like extra, like they have like certain mini games that don't necessarily feel like they fully fit in. But I do think that is also something that is just classical to Final Fantasy for a long time. Like you had stuff like that in the original Final Fantasy VII. You had moments like that. And so I do think it's just sort of carrying that legacy for a remake into the modern area and having that be more fleshed out, because they can make it more fleshed out now. Not just it's adding content for content's sake, but it's also very in line with what the franchise has done before, and what and specifically who's the guy that makes the game? Why am I forgetting his name? Tetsuya Nomura, is that him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so. Specifically what he does with his games. Like you get some similar stuff like that in Kingdom Hearts as well. So I don't think this is out of line. I do think if it was a new game, I think I would have more of a gripe with what you're saying, and I don't disagree with it at all. It's just that it's Final Fantasy VII. It is a remake, essentially. I don't have as big of an issue, because I do think it's a callback to like those older titles as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like personally sit well with me, and like, I felt like I was, I was wasting time when I could be getting on with the story beat, which the story in this game is phenomenal. Like for it to be the second part of a 3-part story, like it felt very self-contained in its own right, but also it was setting up stuff that's about to come. It did such a good job of like leading with what we've seen before. It had like little throwbacks with like side characters that showed up every now and again, and like in some of the side quests that you start seeing some of their story, and like, you know, it just did such a phenomenal job with the story itself. And like you guys have already touched, like the combat abilities and like the combination of like the fighting between each like characters, and like just, yeah, like it's such a special experience. And without spoiling the ending, the way that they did it, I think it was an interesting take on it. And I'm very interested to see, like, when we can finally talk spoilers, what people's opinions of it are. I personally, I was a bit taken aback by it originally, but as I've sat with it more, I'm kind of more interested to see where it goes now than anything else. Like, I want to see what they do with that story going forward into the third game. So yeah, I'm interested to see where that lands.
Next week, my Xbox Me Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Spoiler cast.
Spoiler cast.
Yeah, I can bang it out. I can bang it out over the week.
Yeah, you got time.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
I wasn't including you in that, Matt. I just want you to 100% know, like, you were, like, that wasn't even an invitation that was going out in your direction.
Let's figure it out. Because I'd like to, let's figure it out. We'll have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Crash.
Number one.
Yeah.
My number one game is Metaphor. It is these top three games were all incredibly difficult to place, that I had to like start nitpicking them to a degree to place them anywhere. I think all three of these games would be valid for me to be in that number one spot in any other year easily. Metaphor's art style is, at first I was drawn back by it, but then you get the narrative and the reason it looks the way it does all fits perfectly. I think audio design, from combat to even music, is phenomenal. The UI design is out of this world. Voice acting, like Despawn said, literally, I do not think there is a bad character in this, because usually you'll have like a side character or something where you hear them and you're like, oh, that's not great, but it's a side character, doesn't really matter. I don't think that's the case. I can pinpoint a point in this game where there's like an even iffy voice in the game. Combat, I love the turn-based mechanic of like, you hit a weakness, you use half a turn, and then if you dodge, so you can build a certain character, you can build out your certain characters. I don't want to spoil any characters for anybody who hasn't played it yet and will play it. You can build out characters to be very evasive, so they'll dodge attacks and enemies can miss turns. And then late game, you can get a charm you can put on your character that if they dodge, it skips the enemy's turn completely. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff the game does in that combat that just adds depth slowly over time on top of it. The archetype system is really, really cool. I do have some issues with it towards the late game of unlocking certain of the high level stuff and attaching abilities. It gets a little bit too expensive for my liking, but it is also their first attempt at this, so I'm not super bothered by that. What else is there to talk about? Characters, side characters, your main like squad that you play with. I think they're all phenomenal. I like the side plots. They take a lot of really serious narrative notes and they explore it, and it's not, they do certain narrative notes that get explored for the sake of like, oh, look at me, I'm a good guy, but they do it in a very nuanced way where they add perspectives on those situations that you don't normally get. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about the game, where they consistently do that with topics they talk about. Overall, like I can't, I'm sure I could nitpick some stuff for this game, but like I love Persona. Like this is 100% a me sort of game. I love the time management in the game. I do think this game is very lenient, like Despawn said, as far as Persona games, and I think that's partly because they wanted to add more mini dungeons, so the big dungeons aren't as big as well. The freedom to explore, so if you miss a mini dungeon earlier, you can always go and do it later. Most of the side quests aren't time gated. Some of them are time gated, but for the most part, you're free to do them at whatever pace you can fit them into your schedule. It respects you as a player in terms of agency very well as well. Not much more I can add to it. Really, really a fantastic game, a fantastic RPG in a year of fantastic RPGs.
Yeah. One thing I do want to add, like the respecting your time thing, like there's one side mission that I got, which was to make somebody a loaf of bread right at the beginning. Like that was the last mission I finished before the main story mission. Like I just never bothered doing it. And it was like I should probably knock this out at some point. I got like 200 gold or something from it, and it was like it was no point to doing it. But it was just like
not worth it at all.
Yeah, but it's like it's that like you said, the respecting time. Like I could have gone out of my way to figure out what recipe I needed to make this and do it then and there. But it's like I'll get to it. So I'm sure I'll make it on my travels. And it's like no, oh, man, such a hard choice to put it lower for me. Like I don't know if it was recency bias, but like I could have put it at number 1 as well. But yeah, no.
It was. I don't blame you where you put it. I think it was a really difficult choice this year for the top 3.
Yeah, the thing I didn't mention as well, which is weird for me because I'm a big music fan, is the soundtrack to this game is phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
The like that chanting lives in my head.
Also, the overworld combat. And I'm only adding this because I was gonna let it go, but Fix is making faces, and I want Fix.
Oh no, I'm not. Can I tell you why I'm making faces? Because I'm so interested to see what Matt's number 1 is. That's why.
That's fair.
I want to see what Matt's number 1 is, but we'll get to that.
But the overworld combat, I think it's such a brilliant addition to like JRPGs like this, and you kind of have it in Infinite Wealth, and it's one of the reasons this game goes over it is that addition of like you being able to kill enemies you're more overpowered, you're stronger than. I feel like it works so much better, and getting into combat in general is something I preferred in this game over Infinite Wealth in general. And so that is something that added to it placing higher, is there was like a whole combat system that wasn't the main combat system, but it was still fun and enjoyable, dodging attacks and figuring out when to go in and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal game.
Yeah, how they handled that overworld combat and like how it kind of like played into like your turn-based sections of like sneak up on an enemy, get them stunned, and then you get extra turns. Or if you don't dodge, then you get attacked first. And I think it did a really good job of balancing that. And yeah, like man, I'm not changing my list. No, I'm not changing my list.
Matt.
Yeah, my number 1. Please. Is Metaphor Reef. No, of course it's not. Of course it's not.
Matt, like, I beat the whole game. You
almost had me.
Did it last night.
I mean, hey, it was the persuasive argument, absolutely. But yeah, my number 1 is Balatro. This is probably the game I've put the most amount of hours into this year. We've already talked about it a little bit in the episode because everybody else, well, not everybody else, Crash and Despawn had it in their lists. But it is such a special game, like that on the surface should not have broke kind of the games industry in the way it did, right? Like a roguelike poker game doesn't make any sense on paper, and yet it is absolutely phenomenal. And even if you've never played poker in your life, I think you could definitely get into this.
I learned so many poker rules by playing this game, by the way. It's like, I didn't know what the difference between a flush and a royal flush was and all these things that I didn't learn until I played this game. Fun fact.
Yeah. My Xbox and me poker night soon.
Ooh. I'm not against it.
Pizza bet. Let's go.
No, I want
money. Yeah, like
money. We're not doing pizza bets. Get that out of here.
There is one of the game developers on Tony Hawk Underground 1 and 2 wrote a book called Game Feel. And I think like Tony Hawk games have like Game Feel, this like undescribable thing that like the game just feels right and feels satisfying. And like Balatro does that on a level that I don't think I've ever experienced. Right. And I know that it is playing on all of the kind of insidious tropes that Vegas has kind of, developed on slot machines over the last century and gotcha games and loot boxes and all these things. They tick your brain. Sorry?
I feel you on that.
Yeah, they tick your brain in a very certain way, right? And it can often be insidious, and many people do use it in insidious ways. And I guess you could claim that Balatro uses it in an insidious way that it encourages you to keep playing for longer. But there's no microtransactions. There's no bullshit in Balatro like that.
Where was it that it got rated M?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't hear the story.
Yeah,
it got like rated M or R for 16. Maybe it was Australia. It got rated somewhere for like adults.
I think, I remember seeing like somebody somewhere it was like marked as gambling or whatever. But there's no way to gamble in it. It seems odd to me that you would do that. But
would you not say it's a gateway? It could be a gateway into poker, right? So then that could be.
But the creator made a really good point on this on Twitter, and he talked about it, and he was like, I'm not because he put out a tweet and it was kind of snarky, and it essentially was about FIFA and why, like, if it would be rated for adults, then FIFA certainly would have to.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing because FIFA's not rated. It was more so the point, which, like, I agree with you. I think if you want to look at it as gambling, sure, but then you have to treat every game with any sort of gambling.
That's not my opinion. I'm just saying that's
I think I hear what you're saying. I think, like, it's hard to make that argument because I think if you use this as a gateway to get into poker, you'd find poker really boring. Because Balatro does so much more with it. Like it's not really poker, right? Like, you know,
I get you.
I get it, but
I get you.
But yeah, look, for me, and now that it's on the phone as well, it's what Despawn was saying. Like, this is my commute game, and I can't see anything knocking it off that time slot in my life for at least the next year. Like, who knows, right? But like, it's fascinating and brilliant, and the fact that it was made by one person is even more fascinating and brilliant. And can't wait to see what they do next.
I think for me, it's the level of content that's in there as well. It's like, because it's not just the fact that it's like you get a deck of cards and you try and get the best run. It's that there are so many different decks to unlock, and each deck has its own different ability. Like, you get, like, one gives you more money, the other one gives you an extra card in your hand, the other one gives you extra amount of discards, and it's like then you build from that. But then there's also all the unlocks you get with all the different jokers you can lock. I think there is more jokers in this game than there is actually playable cards. It's just like,
probably,
yeah.
I think like
so good.
The way it's also like captured the industry, and this is super inside baseball, right? But like the fact that it has a Stardew Valley deck in there and a Hollow Knight deck in there, and you know, like all these, yeah, exactly. All these games companies have just basically tipped their hat to Balatro and gone like, fucking hell, this is brilliant. Yes, take some of our art or use our thing, and like Ben Starr being the face of the Joker and stuff like this, and their marketing and stuff. It's like, it's very inside industry, inside baseball. But I love all that sort of stuff as well. It's a very special game, and if you haven't tried it, you probably should, because it's pretty fucking good.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
It also held that narrative this year of all of those streamers, you know, who stream Fortnite all day, going, "Why the fuck is Balatro nominated for a thing? I'm gonna try it and shit all over it." And then, oh shit, I've been playing it for 10 hours and it's my favorite game.
I think most of the games on the Game of the Year list this year would have done that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. My number one is a little game, you may have heard of it, Final Fantasy Rebirth.
No way.
Yeah, I know, crazy. Look, a few things. Again, we don't need to go through. Its gameplay is amazing. Its story is amazing. Like those are things that we get. We understand, right? That's to be expected from a game that's number one on the list. It's hard to feel nostalgic for something that you've never played before. Like, you need to understand, like, where I'm coming at Final Fantasy. Where, like, Final Fantasy 7 as a whole, right, was a video game that I tried to play as a child multiple times. I had it. I tried to play it so many times. Obviously, couldn't, just because I couldn't comprehend what was actually being said to me as a person. I remember watching my granddad play it, and like, rest in peace to him. But like, I remember running around my granddad's house pretending to be Clad and pretending to be Barrett, and you know, all this stuff with my granddad has 14 kids, so I have uncles and aunties that are younger than me. So we're all running around this house pretending, doing turn-based style combat while fighting each other. And that was my touchstone for what Final Fantasy was, right? I was my granddad naming Barrett big balls, big black balls, and shit like that. That's what he would do, like, throughout the entire thing. Like, that's what it was. So then I come through and play Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it doesn't click all the way. I played it the first half, and I'm like, I'm not sure. And then I played the second half, and I end up loving it. And Despawn, obviously, a huge part of that, helping me get through what that was, right? And then this game comes out. And I don't need Despawn as such to teach me how to mix materia together. And now I'm just sort of, as long as I'm not getting frustrated, I can just enjoy this game. And it's weird why do I have nostalgia for locations that we've gone to? Like the grasslands, when you open the game. like Cosmos Canyon, right? Like I don't know these things. I've seen them before, like in a screenshot, but it's the moment you come into these areas and you're like, fucking hell, they did it. Like they did it. They've made a game that's gone from this pixel art where you're filling in the blanks as such, really. Like it's there, but it's not there. And then you play this game and it's there. And then obviously we've got to get into the story. The story so far is one of my favorite video game stories ever. And I think that's why I have such a visceral reaction to it not being beaten, right? Like by anybody. It's not just Crash. Crash, we meme it up, or it's just anybody who's played this game to have not made it to the end. I don't think a game has ever made me feel so happy, sad, empty, fulfilled, insert word here, after beating it. I beat this game and was just like, I don't want to play anything else. Like, that might be it. Like, I'm done. Like, and it's not only that, it's having that conversation again online with people being like, I felt exactly the same way. Like, I couldn't just move on to the next game. I had to wait a week to really like let it sit with me. And it just done something to me that I wasn't expecting, you know? Like, again, you hear about these iconic characters and you're like, all right, cool, whatever. It's Cloud, all right. I don't think Cloud's not the guy for me, you know? It was the side characters who I'm building these relationships with. It was, obviously, I learned about, you know, Zach and when I played Crisis Core a little bit, but I didn't finish that game. So seeing the way they interwove the story here and just all of it, it's such a magical experience. And again, as you get older, you're searching for those experiences, I think, anyway, right? Like, you're searching for something different. And I think that's what Rebirth was for me, where like, did the areas that Crash spoke about and Despawn spoke about, did they frustrate the shit out of me and annoy the hell out of me? Yes. They did. They were some of the most annoying moments in the game. And every time I got stuck in like, where is this and how do I get up there? And then obviously it clicks and you get there and it's like, okay, cool, it's fine. Those moments were annoying, but they were never annoying enough to take me away from not wanting to beat the game. And I think that's testament to how good the game is, because if you can see beyond its flaws, you know how good it is. Infinite Wealth didn't have that. I never got stuck on Infinite Wealth and was like, I can't progress. There were moments in this game where, because I was trying to do the 100%, which I ended up doing, where I was just like, I can't find this thing. Why can't I fly around? But it was fine. Like, once I got through it was fine, you know? It's seeing Chansey, I believe his name's Chansey, right? Chadley. Seeing Chadley and just wanting to slap him up every time I see him, you know? But that was a part of my experience. He was annoying the crap out of me, but I feel like he was meant to be annoying. And then it's just these characters. I don't know how to like really express it, I feel like, because we're still in the middle of it, right? Like, we're waiting for that next part now. And everybody else has already had this reaction with the original. I haven't. I didn't get to have those moments with the original. So I'm experiencing it now. And I'm so thankful that I even get to have this experience with it now, because it's made in a way that allows me to consume it. Does that make sense? I don't think, like, before we knew about the mod that came out, right? It was one of those games that I think I was always going to miss. Everybody else was going to get it. Everyone else was going to understand it. Everyone else would get to have these magical moments with this world. And I was sort of on the outside, just like, I can try, but it's just not going to hit. Like, I know, you know, I can't read a book and get out of it what Haley does. And she sits there like reading, she's 50 books last year. And I'm like, and you love it. And she's like, I love it. And I'm like, man, I want to love it. And then I get to sit and play this game, and then I love it, you know? And and that's what it is for me. I love it. I want to go to the orchestra and see it. I want to hear it again. I want to be able to be brought back, teleported back to that moment again. I want to buy the soundtracks. I listen to the soundtrack now on Spotify. I want to, you know, there's very few franchises of a video game that gets me like this. You know, Final Resident Evil, obviously, we all know that. Metal Gear, I know people would be surprised, but like those a few Metal Gear games, they had that moment for me as well, where like, and now Final Fantasy Remake 7 and Rebirth are that, and obviously I'm learning to try and go back. I want to go and play 8, and I want to go play 9, and I want to experience that. But I'm also scared about, are we going to get a 9 remake, an 8 remake, and maybe that's the way I get to experience it, you know? So yeah, like the game itself, like I say, moment-to-moment combat, I think is one of my favorite combat systems in video games. Personally, I love the way it works. I love the combat moves in this game. It's just, it works. It works. It feels good. I love it. Now, do I understand why people don't love it? Absolutely. Because this isn't your Final Fantasy, right? It's like Resident Evil going from like a Resident Evil 2 going from like a survival horror game to turn into a turn-based game. Like, you could see people being like, that's not what I want from this. But for me, this is exactly what I want from it. It's and I know I've been going on, I promise I'll wrap up quickly. It's what's the chess game? Blood, what's it called?
Queen's Blood.
Queen's Blood.
So
why should I care about? Why should me? I don't give a crap about. I'm in, bro. If they brought out a Queen's Blood game tomorrow, I'm there.
Yeah, I will play the last show, but I'll play Queen's Blood, I see.
Well, that's how good it is to me. And it was every time I got to play more Queen's Blood. I'm not just like, oh, I'm excited to play more Queen's Blood. It expands and builds and it gets really complicated and hard. And you go, oh God, I've got to really think about this. And then you do, and it works. And then you're rewarded for it with an item or whatever it may be. And you're just like, and that's why it was worth it.
Yeah,
There is
no other game that I would put 2 hours into one Queen's Blood match, like into one card game match. And it's just like, yeah, like it did so well with it. Yeah, like
that's why it's my game of the year. It really is, and there's nothing more special about it. It's amazing.
Fair.
Peaceful. Your last one. Here we go.
This one will not be a shock to anyone, I don't think. It's been mentioned multiple times already, but mine is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. For all the reasons you guys have already talked about. But like for me, I think the one word I would use to describe Infinite Wealth is earnest. Everything it does just feels so heartfelt and honest. And like from whether it be the characters' interactions, the storyline, everything felt like it was coming from like just it's so well written, even in the most ridiculous moments. And this game has some absolutely ridiculous moments, to the bit where you're playing as a stuntman and you're dodging cars, to like the Sujimon moments and like how that wraps up and like how heartfelt that is. And just the way that like Kiryu and there's the characters, like how they come across, like Kiryu specifically, the way that this is such a love letter to his past. It's just for a past that, again, like you say with Final Fantasy, like nostalgic for a game that you've not played. Like I've not played more than maybe an hour of each of like I've tried of like any of the previous Yakuza games or Like a Dragon games. Yeah, I felt so nostalgic running through this entire game that I just like by the end of it, I had so much love for every single character. And again, Crash, you talked about how Yamai was such a surprise. I thought he was just going to be like, oh, he's the new Gojo Majima in this game. He's like just, just slot him in, it'll be the same thing. But the way his character like progresses as you go through the story, and the way like he evolves, and like the evolution of everyone's character in this game is so well done.
I think there's one character, and I don't want to spoil it. There's only one character who I don't enjoy where they end up.
I've got one as well.
I think it has a lot more to do with Ichiban than it does the character themselves and what they wanted to do with Ichiban.
Go on, say it. I just want to know. Go on.
What's that?
It's a huge spoiler.
Okay.
Okay.
Off stream.
Like
I think we've talked about it a couple of times, the respect for time. This game does such a good job of doing that, of like it feeds you every single side quest, but it only does it once, and then lets you do as much of that as you want. Whether you want to be that 100% completionist or you just want to run through the story, it does.
Crash, zero.
I finished the game in 55 hours, fun fact.
I finished the game in 92, I think it was.
Yeah, I think I was 100 and something. I can check.
Yeah. But yeah, like the amount of, like I did every side quest I could. I like upgraded as many of the characters as I wanted to. Like
I would have liked to put more time into the game, but I finished it as fast as I did specifically for this.
Talk about it. Yeah,
98 hours is where I was at.
Yeah, and yeah, like the world felt so well lived in as well. Like you could just go off to an arcade and play Virtua Fighter for 2 hours if you wanted to. You could just run around doing the Sujimons. You could go like be a superhero for a guy who was having on a break. You could go, like you say, you go play baseball. Sorry, and everything. Nothing felt like it was shoehorned in. Everything felt like it fit so well within the world that they'd built around it. And yeah, by the end of the story, I'd like nothing but love for every single one of the characters. Whether that be the new characters new to me characters, the characters that returned from previous games, like the legacy characters, and the way that they dealt with that as well. Just the combat system was fantastic. Like you said, like you could like when you get to a certain level, you just speed run through like low level enemies, or you could like go through the combat system, and the way that it balances like turn based to like some characters having like a proper like beat 'em up style combat system, and the way they kind of balanced that for them was so well done. Like
the evolution of the combat system in that game is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's so simple but so good.
Yeah. Like there's such a great balance between it all, and like none of it. Like I never felt like I was grinding as well. Like I always felt like like you said, like the way that like the areas like level up, because it is in essence it is one area. Well, technically 2 areas at a certain point in the game, and those areas themselves level up, and it always felt like a valid reason for it to level up. And yeah, like just. It's such a special experience that even to this point, like I want to go back and play like all of them. And like I'm kind of like a 50-50 on the way that fixes like old game is old. Like I know we meme it sometimes, but like at this point, like some of these games are very freaking old, but I still want to experience that stuff. This game did such a good job of making me care about the story. I want to go
YouTube Lord Dump, mate. YouTube Lord Dump. That's where I'm getting it, because there's no way. Those games are so big. Like to go back and beat them all would be Jesus. There's no way. You'd have to take a year off of playing new games. Like we just don't have the time anymore. Back in the day, you could play everything. Now, look at our list. Look at each of our personal lists. There's a big game on each of our list that we probably haven't played. Yeah, nuts.
Yeah, this is
Matt has 3 big games he hasn't played.
Yeah,
4. I put Dragon Age in there as well.
This is Matt game. This is Matt though. But yeah, this is actually like again, like we're talking about like Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy is me. Like I've got like Final Fantasy posters on my wall and everything. Like I am a Final Fantasy guy. Like it is my child. Like many times I've told the story about how it was the game that made me understand what gaming could be. Yeah, there she is. There they are.
There she is.
Like
wonky.
It's fine. It is like Final Fantasy was the game that showed me what games could be. But yeah, like Infinite Wealth it went above and beyond in every element of like just from respecting your time to telling such a heartfelt story to doing even the most insane things with so much reverence for itself. I think, you'd be hard pressed to like not enjoy the majority of your time with this game. Like there may be elements that you don't like, but it does such a good job of like not forcing you to do those elements where like you could, like you say, you guys didn't enjoy Dondoka. You could just skip it. Like I had so much fun doing that because it was just like, it's Animal Crossing, but I get to be Ichiban. It's great. And I get to hit people with a baseball bat. Sweet. I enjoyed my time with it. It made me so much money doing it. I was like, you know what? This is awesome. But like you say, if I didn't enjoy it, I could just go back to the main island and do what I want. And yeah, it was such a great job. And like, while I respected my time, there was so much content in here. Like I say, 92 hours of game time for me that none of it felt like I was force-fed or forced to do anything that I didn't want to spend my time doing. And yeah, it is so heartbreaking that it didn't get the respect it deserved in the industry. Like I know it's hard.
I don't think it did. It just didn't get Game of the Year nomination, which doesn't mean it didn't get respect. It clearly, for Sega, it clearly sells well. It clearly does well in the regions it needs to. like not everything needs to be game of the year, you know, and that's why you have podcasts like ours that have
give it game of the year.
These conversations and then go from there, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But it is 100% my game of the year. Like this was the game that made me fall in love with the Infinite, the Like a Dragon series, and I am now a staunch convert. Like day one, every single time, I will be playing these games.
Yeah, I agree. Not you, Crash?
Thumbs down to the next one that's coming out. Not interested whatsoever.
I wonder if we'll play it and you'll be like, all right, I'll give it a go, and then boom, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Just don't go in with a look. 2025. Don't go in with a negative mindset. Just we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Open mindset.
I won't go into a negative mindset for that. I'm gonna go with a negative mindset to the year. So like already nope.
Oh, damn. Okay. Damn.
Nope.
Yeah.
Everything sucks. Okay.
What the hell are we doing? Because this is usually like, you know, we're meant to end like, you know, we're meant to do it an hour and a half, and then we argue our top 10 list for Xbox. So what do you want to do, boys?
Good question. We're already at like 2.5 hours almost.
I'm fine to continue.
I'm fine to continue.
Let's continue.
Let's continue.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, before we do continue, let's hear from our amazing audience, shall we? They have put in some videos of their Game of the Year lists, so have a listen to this.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Yami. Before I clock into work today, I just want to say that my Game of the Year of 2024, Marvel Rivals. I have a whole list of like 14, 15 games that I'm going to drop into the Discord. Kind of ranked, but not really. But my most fun that I've had with the game, Marvel Rivals, and I've played a little bit every day since it came out and earlier this month or whatever.
Hey, my Xbox and me crew, Topless91 here. My game of the year for this year is definitely going to be Star Wars Outlaws, followed a close second by Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. They're probably the most fun I've had with games this year, with an honourable mention going to Final Fantasy Rebirth, but given that was a PlayStation exclusive, I didn't think I should add it to this. Hope you all have a great new year.
Hello, MXAM family. Anubis here, and my game of the year for 2024 is Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. It's a beautiful first-person shooter, similar to Far Cry, but that doesn't do it justice. The game was excellent. It was endlessly beautiful. It had a lot of fun. It was also simple and easy enough to just hop in and play. It also had 2 very chunky DLCs come out in 2024 that absolutely just puts it above the rest.
Hi everybody. If you ask me in the first quarter, it would have been Power World. If you ask me in the second, it would have been Hellblade 2. If you ask me in the third, it would have been another Crab's Treasure. But you asked me in December, no greater circle, everything is an Xbox. No, everything is a weapon. Indie, 1000%, no greater circle this year.
Thank you guys so much for your lists. Thank you for keeping them to 30 seconds. Clearly, some of you still don't understand. I did say landscape. Some of you still did portrait, but Despawn to fix it. It's okay. Despawn put a background on there. It's fine. It's fine. It's no problem. It's not.
You'll all look great. You'll all look great.
Okay. Our Xbox top 10 list, boys. This is kind of where we argue a little bit, right? Because our lists are so mixed. This is a combined top 10 list of games that released on Xbox. Now, I've got my list right here, yeah? So you can just tell me, I'd love to hear everyone's 10 and then we go from there, right? So I put Marvel Rivals 10.
I haven't made a 10
okay, well, that's
me neither.
Look, I'm just me. I've got one. So I'm just saying, I put Marvel Rivals at 10.
Okay.
That's where I put it. So again, we can just argue it wherever you want to go.
I think we get what games we think get on the list first. And then
this is why you were meant to make a list, and then we were going to argue and then push them up and push them down.
Us to make a list fix.
That's what we do every year. We literally do it every year.
No. Last year we did not do that.
No, we didn't.
Did.
Last year we argued what games went on the list first, and then we argued positioning of the list.
Then let's do that then. That's fine. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right. Well, okay. Marvel Rivals should be on the list.
I agree.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, cool. So, all right, someone jot down these games.
Yeah, I'm writing them down.
All right, perfect. All right. So, okay, Despawn, what game do you think should be on the list?
I think because it came out on Xbox, I'm gonna say Indica should be on the list, but again, I don't think you guys will agree.
No.
No.
He's done. He's done.
Is that
off the
okay?
podcast.
Next
Wait,
one.
that's how we're doing. We're going round robin. Like your game goes in. Or your game goes in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm just
That's
going up
not
my
a-
10 list and working up. So yeah, okay.
That's fine.
Well, I think there's an interesting conversation. Like some games we have not talked about so far that maybe deserve to be on the Xbox Game of the Year.
I agree.
Indiana Jones
Should be on the list.
Should be on the list.
I'm with you 100%.
It should be in the discussion.
Or do we put an indica for now and knock it out after?
No, don't even put
No,
it.
Okay.
None of you care. It's
Waste of
fine.
time and a waste of space.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's fair.
So we got Marvel Rivals and Indie should be on the list.
Hey, it's not your guy. We're getting
No,
around.
it's fine. I'm just.
Okay, all right. Wait, yeah, Crash.
I'm gonna put up Tekken 8. I think Tekken 8 should 100% be on this list.
Okay.
I agree. I think by the time we go round, we might end up with more than 10. I think that's
Yes,
okay.
and then we can
That's
knock
what
them
we need.
off.
That's what we need.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
100% fine.
Fine.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Like in terms of like basically everything you said in your personal list thing, right, Crash, of it just being the best version of that thing. Like, yeah.
Matt?
Back to you.
Black Ops 6. I think should be on the list.
Okay.
Sure. All right. I think X Defiant should be on the list.
I don't.
I think I'm with you on this. I don't think. We can put it for now. If Despawn feels strongly on it, we can put it for now. I have no qualms with having it on the list for now.
So I'm 50-50. I personally myself would not put it on the list.
I mean, that's it then.
But that's because I just didn't spend enough time with it. I didn't enjoy my time with it. But as a game on its own, and like I recognize the quality that was there, I've got no issues with it being on the list.
Despawn.
No, okay, we're not doing that.
No.
Okay,
Just
no, okay,
yeah,
no.
it's fine.
Go.
It's fine.
It's dead.
No.
It's dead.
All right, you next one.
Prince of
Me?
Persia should be on the list.
Oh,
100% yes. We're not even
That's fair.
arguing that, are we? Okay, good.
yeah, no. I have no qualms with that.
Man, that is the one that I really need to get to because it's like such a me game.
Yeah. Oh, you should. You 100% should.
That is the one I'm really missing.
Mm.
Is it me?
Nice Crash.
Me, I'm just gonna say one that's for sure gonna make it Infinite Wealth.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. I'm just going to say one that almost definitely won't make it. But I feel like we all need to have our one that we get battered down for. Another Crab's Treasure.
Yeah. Okay.
Deserves to be on there.
Tell me why.
Tell me why.
Because it's better than Black Myth.
But that's just like you notice we haven't said Black Myth yet.
That means
no
not
one said
even, didn't even
Lemon.
come out on Xbox.
Yeah.
It's maybe better than...
No, it's not. It's not.
Don't say Liza. Were you gonna say Liza P?
No.
You're going to say
Okay.
Shadow of the Erd
I was
Tree?
going to say Erd Tree.
No.
How do I feel
Shut
about
up.
that statement? It's better than Erd Tree.
Okay, I'm saying
From what
no.
I've played,
I'm just
I don't
slapping
think
it.
it is.
His argument was poor. No.
Fuck you guys.
I'm gonna say that Dragon Age Valgard should be on the list.
Okay.
I haven't
you
played
played
it, so
Star
it's so hard to say.
I'm not gonna say no for right now.
I'm going to
Yeah, I agree.
Eastbourne, it has to be, right?
Oh, yeah, 100% it has to be.
Unless Matt can convince me that it doesn't belong, and then we'll make an argument right here for it not being
Well,
on this at all.
well, I haven't played it, look, right? So I don't know. But like one of the games that nobody put on the list, which I was actually a little bit surprised nobody put on the list, but I guess it was only going to be me or Crash, was Dragon's Dogma 2.
You guys didn't like it so much that I didn't bother playing it.
I like Dragon's Dogma 2. It's the
No,
best 7 out of
you-
10 game I've played. I've said that time
Yeah,
and time
it's a
again.
solid
It's
Yeah,
seven.
the
for
best
sure.
7
But
out
you
of 10
didn't say
game
it
I've played.
enough. You didn't like. You weren't.
You didn't text him it. Come on.
We definitely had a huge love
You
letter
did.
episode to Dragon.
You did.
Dragon's
You did.
Dogma.
It weren't enough that like you were like.
You want me to, while you're going to sleep, whispering, hey, Felix, Dragon's Dogma.
I have
Dude,
the
this gonna
game.
make
Like
you
I have
feel
the
some
game.
sort
I
of
just
way,
I
bro.
never bothered.
But that's
You
all
guys
last year
just
now.
like,
So last year.
No, you can't, like, no. That's like me saying the reason I didn't play Indiana Jones is because you fixed is you.
That is the reason you didn't play Indiana Jones.
I didn't play
because
because
of me.
I don't give a fuck about Indiana Jones.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but you didn't play because I told you don't bother.
Yeah.
I think it easily slips off the bottom of the 10 as it did with my
You
own
want- you
personal
want it
list.
to be on
but
the
I'm
like,
willing. I think it should be in this conversation for right now.
Fine.
Okay.
Because it's
Put it on the list.
Xboxes, and there's going to be
Sure.
stuff that
Okay.
okay,
just for right now.
Who is it?
Matt.
is it?
No, Matt
Oh, well-
just said Dragon's Dogma.
Oh,
so
you did.
it's me then.
It's you then. That's
Yeah,
fine.
it's you.
How well should be on the list?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
How well should be on the list?
I'm with it.
If we're talking like, because we're talking like games for Xbox specifically.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
stand
Xbox
out, yeah,
games,
that'd be,
yeah.
okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that one. Controversial one, I'm going to say. If we're talking like Xbox's year, just to have the discussion about it, I'm going to say Hellblade 2.
Nope.
Jesus.
Oh, Fix is in trouble here.
Hellblade 2 should be on the list.
No, it shouldn't.
Should
It
be in the
should be on the
discussion.
list.
It doesn't deserve
It
to be in the
should be on the-
conversation.
It should be on the list. Now,
Oh, sure. If we're talking about Xbox as a developer, sure. They put out like 3 games this year.
it should be on the list. It should make the conversation list. Yes, I agree.
Conversation list?
I think that there should be a conversation.
I'll put it
Conversation.
right down the bottom of the conversation list because it'll be the first one to
We
get
can
knocked
put it
off.
on there.
That's
We
fine.
can put it on. We can have a
Guys,
conversation.
guys,
We're
I need
building
you
a
guys to
short list. We're
remember.
not building the
We got-
top 10 right now. Come on.
We got to make content here as well. All right, come on.
Yeah,
guys.
okay.
Think.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
it should
okay,
be
you're
on
not
the
wrong.
list.
Yeah, okay,
It should be
sure.
on the list.
Should be in
It's on the
discussion.
list.
How many we got so far?
1, 2,
We got
3,
10.
4.
Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Then let's do
Uh,
2 more each.
Metaphor, for sure.
be on
Metaphor
the
needs to be
list.
brought over onto the list
Yes.
for sure. For
100%.
sure. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're the people to talk about this, but I
Cool.
think we'd be remiss for not at least bringing it up. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024.
Should not be on the list.
I think even like Flight Sim fans weren't super happy with it. And
Okay.
I think that's why I would say shouldn't be on the list as well.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I respect you bringing it up though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard one for me from here. Dead Rising remaster should be on the list. It's a remaster. Should it really? No.
No, and I kind of feel similarly to, well, not because it's a remaster, but like Stalker 2. Like, I want to put it on the list, but I don't really think it should be on the list. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I guess an
Okay.
X from me, both of those.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I respect that.
Let's not come out.
Shadow of the Earth Tree.
Whoa, what the fuck? I'm right
Oh,
here.
it's Despawn. My bad. I apologize, Despawn.
Shadow of the... No, I'm joking. You can have Shadow of the Earth Tree. That'll be on the list anyway, but I'm going to put
Will it?
Balatro on the list.
Yeah, I want
Yeah,
Bellatrix
but
on the
actually, it
list
should be on
too.
the list.
Yeah,
Mhm,
for
mhm.
sure.
Easy Tree going on the list.
Yes.
I mean, it's in the shortlist discussion, right?
Is it?
it should for sure be in
yes,
this
it should
discussion.
be. It should be on the
You
list.
can argue
Yeah.
whatever you want for it to not be end up in the top 10. And
Yeah.
I feel like you will have an argument for it, Matt.
All right. It's going on the
Well,
list.
But
Here's the thing. It made your personal top 10, right?
No.
Matt's didn't because Matt doesn't believe DLC should be in it.
I do. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, well, half of us do, so it's fine. So it made half of our list. Yeah. Okay.
I have
anything-
three
is the-
more that I
Okay.
think maybe should be on the list.
Rattle them off then. Go on.
Just rattle
Yeah.
off. Go.
The Plucky Squire.
Okay.
That come to Xbox.
Yeah.
Okay. Is everywhere?
Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Okay.
Warhammer Space Marine 2.
So there's
You
a
haven't mentioned
combat.
that at
So
all, have we?
Warhammer was on my personal top 10 at 10.
Like a
No,
bumped
it was on
for-
my Xbox top 10 at 10, and I replaced it with Marvel Rivals.
I think we put Warhammer Space Marine 2 into the conversation for right now.
I mean,
have
it's
you
on the
played it,
list.
Despawn?
No, I've got it. It's installed. It's ready to go, but I've not had a chance to play it.
We
this
were
year.
meant to stream it.
I know. That's
And
what I
then
thought. You guys
somebody
played it. I'm
got
like, oh, Fix put it on
sick.
10. They must have
Sick. Oh,
played
yeah,
it.
that's what happened. I said it on stream the other day. Like,
Yeah.
I think I blamed you on stream. Literally, I was like,
Motherfucker.
yeah, well, Despawn didn't contact me, so we didn't end up playing it. And now I remember, I got sick.
This motherfucker.
Despawn's fault. I got sick.
My bad.
Yeah.
So we currently have a list of 14 games. Is there anything
Cool.
we're missing that isn't on the list?
Not that I can
Um,
think of.
One I would add, which didn't quite make my top 10, would be Still Wakes the Deep.
I haven't played it.
Should be on the list. Should be on the list.
Really?
Should be on the list. I played it. Yes, should be on the list.
Did you play it, Matt?
I did not.
You should have played it.
Your type of game, Matt. You and
So
you and the
it's
missus.
100% new game.
You and the missus would love that. Walking sim, like
Horror, though, right? She ain't into that shit. She can't handle it.
play it. I think you should play it.
Yeah.
It's not Haley's not really into horror, but yeah. Anyway, it should be on the list. All right, okay. So we got 15 right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want me to quick run through the list that I've got in front of me? I might have put extra things on here that I didn't mean to, but I've got Marvel Rivals, Indie, Tekken 8, Black Ops 6, X Defiant, Prince of Persia, Infinite World.
We got rid of.
Get X Defiant off.
X Defiant's going off. Okay, cool. Prince of Persia, Infinite Wealth, Veilguard, Dragon's Dogma 2. Did we keep that on the list?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Pal World, Hellblade 2, Metaphor,
Nope.
Flight Sim.
Hellblade 2. Yes.
Yeah, we did play Hellblade 2.
We put Hellblade 2 for the discussion. Yeah,
No Flight Sim.
No Flight Sim.
No Flight Sim.
Okay. Dead Rising you added. Balatro.
No, take that off.
No.
Dead Rising. Okay, cool. See, this is easy. We've already got a top 10 at this point. Balatro, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Matt added Plucky Squire, Dungeons of Hinterberg,
No,
Space Marine.
We noped those.
Note to both of those. Okay.
Yep.
Space Marine 2.
Yep.
Yep.
Leave it on. And
Still
then
Wakes the Deep.
Still Wakes the Deep. So
Yep.
we've
Oh.
currently got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games on the list that we all think should be on there.
All
Where
right.
do we begin?
Well, look, I think I will then concede that we should bin Dragon's Dogma 2 out of this.
I agree.
I think, like, from a gameplay standpoint, it's a fun game. And that's kind of where it ends. Like, when you put it up against Dragon Age Veilguard, which is fun gameplay plus great story characters, all the things that Dragon's Dogma just doesn't have. So yeah, like I think Dragon's Dogma did some really interesting things, but ultimately I think it's got too many. Oh man, I wish this would have been better to justify putting in a top 10 list like this.
I think the fact that we all discussed this, and for those that played it, just said like it's a solid 7. I was like, yeah,
Nothing wrong with a solid 7.
Nothing wrong. Like you can enjoy your time with a solid 7, but when you're talking about the top 10 games that came to Xbox, a solid 7 doesn't quite do it for me.
Yeah.
I think there's games on this list that are going to be a solid 7. But
I'm sure there are,
made the
but,
list.
and we'll get to them when we discuss it. Yeah, like something like this
At
is
the
just
end
a
of the
short
day,
list.
we might get the list and be like, oh no, Dragon's Dogma might be number
Deserves
10.
to be
Like,
on
one of the
there,
games
yeah,
you knock out might be like number 10 over something.
Look,
So
yeah, let's not be around the bush here. Dragon's Dogma gone. Yeah, we agree. Gone.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
Got it.
All right. Let's talk about Hellblade 2.
Okay.
Now, from an Xbox perspective, Hellblade 2 would make a top 10 list. But we ain't no pussies. Hellblade 2 is not a good game.
Hellblade 2.
It's a great experience, but it's not a good game.
The list we've made, outside of Still Wakes the Deep, I haven't played that. Hellblade 2 would be at the bottom of this list.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2 is better than Still Wakes the Deep.
I haven't played Still Wakes the Deep, so I can't say. So
I'm
if we
telling-
take away, so if we get rid of Hellblade 2, Still Wakes the Deep goes out as well?
For me, at least I found the gameplay loop that was there very lightly of Hellblade more fun than Still Wakes the Deep. Now, Still Wakes the Deep probably tells a better story overall for me, but I wasn't compelled to beat that where I was with Hellblade. So, talk to me, Deesman. We're the only two that played it, so.
Just the person I am and like my love for those classic 80s horror films, like Still Wakes the Deep connected with me more. I feel like the moment to moment gameplay was actual gameplay. With that, like the traversal through that world, like it was more of an exploration game, whereas like Hellblade was like, look at this pretty canyon you can walk through and hear people talk in your head.
And the puzzles?
And the puzzles were existing, like, you know, stand in a certain spot to unlock a puzzle. Cool.
I think you're doing that game. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a great game.
No.
But it was,
I think an important thing to look at this list is it's not our personal list. It is the best of the best. So it's not do we just enjoy the game more? It's do we think it's legitimately better than the other game?
Hellblade 2 is better than Still Wakes the Deep.
But
I think
like,
on a technical
it
level,
ultimately doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does. It depends where we get on the end of the list, whether it stays or goes. One of these is dropping off the list easily. Whether the other one stays, probably. But
like Hellblade, like something I've said all the way through in the personal list is like it does everything better than it needed to do, like in terms of Dungeon Hinterberg and other games like that. Hellblade for me is the opposite. Everything it does, it did a little bit worse than it probably should have, except maybe for its graphical fidelity, I would say.
No, I disagree. I think that's so harsh.
I think the gameplay loop, it just isn't there. Like, I think that's where it fails majorly, but I think everything else is a step up above from where it needed to be. Like, graphically, I think the performances were fantastic.
Combat,
I'll give you performance.
Yeah, the combat,
sound design's better.
Yeah, sound design is 100% better.
So Hellblade over Still Wakes the Deep.
Yes.
Yeah,
but they're both gone.
But that's not the conversation we're having, though, Matt. Play by the rules here. God damn it.
So right now, 100% Still Wakes the Deep is gone. I think for me
perfect.
personally, it was a great story. I enjoyed it. I think the characterization between the two. I think I preferred some of Still Wakes the Deep. I think it was an interesting, smaller scale story with a bigger world. But
we don't care. Despawn is gone.
we're 3
I just
hours
want to
into
say
this.
I like it.
I understand it, but that's not.
Right,
This is not the moment for that.
Cool. Moving on. Next.
Hellblade 2. That's the next thing I look at this list that we have here. That gets knocked off, right?
Against what?
I think you put up against anything on this list.
Against
Warhammer, I think it gets off.
Put up against something.
Against everything else.
Space Marine, I think you knock off Hellblade 2.
But you didn't even play Warhammer.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
he did.
Space Marine 2?
I didn't.
You didn't play it. So it's only me and you that played it.
Yeah.
I don't look. If we're gonna, because look,
no, it's a better game. All around, it's a better story, it's better combat, it's better narrative. In what aspect is it not a better game? And if you go and tell me visuals, I'm like, cool, that is one aspect of a game that isn't even super relevant because you can have ugly games that are very fun and better than pretty games. So tell me something tangible gameplay-wise that is better about Hellblade 2 and I will concede it to you.
I cannot do that.
Deleted.
Hellblade 2 gets knocked off.
So Hellblade 2 is gone.
Okay.
I can't.
Junie's gonna freaking hate us by the end of this. I can tell.
It's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So what we at?
All right. Why don't we put up
12?
We're at 12.
We're at 12.
Okay. So then
just pick up 2 games. Somebody pick 2 games and have
let's go Space Marine versus Pal World because I think one of these 2 drops off.
That's fair.
All right. Let me land.
I have an opinion on one. Go on.
I think I've played both games. I think Power World is a better game than Space Marine 2. Now, Space Marine 2 is a fun game. But the issue is, I think it is a fun game when you play with others.
That's fair.
Compared to playing it single player, which is how I played the game. I played the game single player. I didn't find it as enjoyable as an experience playing it that way. It felt like a game that would have been a lot of fun with you boys. But playing it solo, it felt a little bit empty to me. Mm-hmm. Now, Power World, I played solo and I played it multiplayer. And both of the time, every time I played that game, I had a much more enjoyable experience with that game. Mechanically, visually, Space Marine's story I didn't give 2 shits about.
Wait.
So, that's just me.
Mechanically, you're going to say that Power World is better than Space Marines.
I enjoyed the mechanics of Power World way more than I did Space Marine 2.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Because the whole time I'm playing Space Marine 2, I'm thinking about Gears of War. The entire time.
That's a valid problem, but okay.
No, I'm not. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
It's the active reload. It just for me, that is how it.
Yeah.
How for me, that is what I went to, and I was like, I would rather go back and play Gears of War right now than be playing Space Marine 2. Now, is that a wild take? Yes. Am I wrong in my take? Yes, but that is how I felt. That is how I felt. Power World, there's nothing out there I can compare Power World to other than Pokemon, where I'm like, I'd love Pokemon to be this. And it isn't. So Power World, that's why I enjoy Power World.
But is being the best in a genre valid reason to be up here? No.
Absolutely not. But that's my argument.
No, that's fair. I would just argue that I think I think they're both very, very fun in different ways. I did play it co-op, so I do have like that perspective on it. The co-op perspective is very fun.
I have friends.
I've got friends.
I think that aspect of it is very fun. I think when you're looking at both games, I think Palworld ends up on a technical aspect from like bugs and stuff like that ends up having more hiccups than Space Marine 2. But on a fun aspect, Space Marine 2 is very, very fun, but I do think Palworld is more of a memorable game for me. Matt.
Is Palworld in 1.0?
Nope.
Does it therefore not qualify?
It still qualifies. It came out. It's early access. It's out. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Oh,
that's how we've always done.
That's the point. If we're including early access games, my personal list is completely different.
Oh, shut the fuck up, dude.
There's a game I would have.
We ain't trying to hear.
Was it Path of Exiles 2?
It was.
Yeah. I almost put it on my list. I didn't put enough time into it to put into my list.
I loved that. Yeah.
It does. It's not on Xbox, so it's irrelevant right now. Anyway.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Have you guys got anything to argue on this conversation?
Well, no, because I've not played Space Marine 2.
Perfect. Yeah. So then, Palworld wins.
I haven't made my decision fix.
I don't think. Okay, thank you.
It's their decision now. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Well, there we go. One more game down.
Well, so now we are at 11 games. So now I think we can almost build the top 10 list, and then the one that doesn't make it is the one that doesn't make it at this point. Do you know what I mean?
But that's not as fun for content.
You want to do versus all the way?
Yes, that's what we do, man. We argue.
Shit. Okay.
So what is going to go up against Palworld right now?
This is it.
What is the worst game on the list?
On that list.
Okay. So do you want me to run through the list excluding Palworld for now, so you can pick what we think is in at the number 10, so we can fight? So we got Marvel Rivals,
10,
Indiana Jones: The Great Circle, Tekken 8, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Dragon Age: Veilguard, Metaphor ReFantazio, Balatro, and Shadow of the Erdtree.
I can either go Shadow of the Erdtree or Marvel Rivals for 10. That's just me. That's my gut reaction.
I'd rather put Erdtree because I don't want Erdtree to be on our list.
So perfect. Then you say that we're already halfway there, mate.
Erdtree is better than Palworld, though.
But we'll get to that. We're not on that conversation yet.
But I thought we were doing the versus part with Palworld, because Palworld is
going to be. But
I'm confused with what we're doing now.
We're picking what's going to go up against Palworld, pretty much.
Oh, so we're still looking through the games. Okay, I got you. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun.
Sure. What do you need from me? I'm
confused. Pick a game to go up against Palworld.
Well,
I put Indiana Jones.
All right.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, you want to do that?
Okay, let's do
it. I haven't played Indiana Jones, so I don't have anything to add to it. don't take what I said seriously.
Which game do I want to go up against Palworld? I'm going to put...
I think that's unfair. I think Indiana Jones needs to make the top 10 list.
I agree.
That's fair.
Well, we'll see.
I think Shadow of the Erdtree or Marvel Rivals.
Pick whichever one.
Okay. Shadow of the Erdtree then.
Okay.
Perfect.
Shadow of the Erdtree is just a better game than Palworld.
Shadow of the Erdtree is not a game.
Yeah. The argument here isn't okay. The way we've done it, the way we did it last year, DLC is allowed into this conversation.
Yes,
if you can make a reason why Shadow of the Erdtree is not a good enough DLC, cool, I'll give it to you.
Okay, can I?
You can.
Yeah. I've not played it, right? But the reason I have not played it is because the amount of stuff that I need to do before I can even experience that DLC.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible barrier to entry to a player. Now, I understand that's the way they designed it. That's what they want to do. I totally respect and understand that. But if I'm any person can pick up Palworld, play it, experience it, enjoy it, and that's why it should be on the top 10 list. You physically can. I own both. Let me land. I own both portions of this game, and I still can't experience one of them.
I think if they just let you jump into Shadow of the Erdtree, you would have a literally horrible time with that game.
That should be my decision as the player. That should be my decision, though. That shouldn't be. I don't think that should be somebody else's decision. I paid my hard-earned money for this thing. If that's what I want to do and then I get destroyed, I can then bitch about it online. But I should be able to do that.
I think the problem you have with that is that you could essentially say that about almost anything in Elden Ring in general.
No, but I physically can't do. I disagree with you because something being hard isn't the issue. It's not like I can't get. It's not like I can't get past the first boss of what I paid for. I literally cannot experience it in any way, shape, or form.
You have to get to the point to unlock it. Like
No,
it's not impossible for you to unlock it.
Okay, I agree, but I'm saying to you, as someone we're putting a top 10 list together.
Okay.
You're then saying to somebody, our 10th game, you can enjoy this 10th game if you want to, but what you need to do first is go and do 60 hours of something else.
So the top 10 list is based off of accessibility as opposed to quality. Is that what this list is?
I think the top 10 list is based off of all of it, and that's why we argue, and it makes good content.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I just want to know because
I don't think it's just a quality thing.
Sure. When Palworld launched and people were first playing Palworld, they got into bugs and they couldn't play the game at all. Do you hold that against Palworld as being not a great game? Or not being worthy of this list because people couldn't play the game. When it launched, people literally were getting bugs when they were trying to connect to servers.
Mm-hmm.
This was a thing that happened because what you're saying is you can't play it, and I bought it. And
sure. Okay, but we're rating it now in 2025, where you can just play the game. It's not broken anymore. I still physically can't. In 2025, I cannot play Shadow of the Erdtree right this precise second.
Yes, you can. No. Go and fight the bosses to get to it. I get what you're saying, but you're not
getting me. You're not getting me. You're not understanding.
No, I get what you're saying, Fix. You can't because you can't just launch into it and launch right away.
I bought this Red Bull. It means I can drink said Red Bull.
You bought the Red Bull. You own the Red Bull.
I can't even go and play
You own the content. You own the content. You bought Red Bull, Fix. Go buy a Red Bull and start drinking it. What do you have to do before you drink the Red Bull? You have to crack the fucking can open. You have to do something to drink the Red Bull.
Yeah. You're right.
You got to crack the can open, Fix. You got to crack the can open.
But he doesn't have to answer a quiz about how Red Bull was.
But now what you're doing is you're adding more like checklists. And there's stuff you can buy. There's stuff you can buy that have different varying degrees of checklists. You can't. You want to own a car, you have to have insurance for the car. You have to have a license for the car.
No, you don't. I can buy a car right now without a license and insurance. I can buy the car. Can't drive the car.
You can't drive the car. Oh, but you need to be able to drive the car to use the car. So you do need to have those. By what you're saying. Okay, Lance, go ahead, Lance.
I can literally drive the car. It will be against the law, but I could do it. I literally can't even play the DLC.
You're right. You can just magically drive the car. You don't have to open the car and put the key in and turn the key because that's what you're starting to do. That's the argument you're making is there's steps before you can do something.
They're easier steps. Steps.
No. Because this is the part that's wrong. We're either allowing steps or we're not allowing steps when you buy something.
I'm not saying we're not allowing it. I'm just saying from my perspective, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You're right. But I'm saying if we're putting together a top 10 list, I don't think if this DLC was like you get to just enter it, I think I'd put it over it 100%. But you cannot. And I need to hear from the other boys at least, please help an argument. I don't care if it's his argument, just help an argument.
I think for me, like I don't think DLC should be in there, especially, and I'm on your side here, Fix, like especially when you are required to do, you know, like we're saying, let's say at least 40 hours if you're a god. Like at least 40 hours of Elden Ring to get to where you will need to be to get into that DLC. Because like what we're saying with this list is if you own an Xbox, here are the 10 games that you need to play this year. Erdtree
is.
The list is here's the 10 best experiences on Xbox.
No, I don't think that is what the list is. I think it's that amongst all of it. I don't think it's just the best experience.
I would still say the pain of getting to Shadow of the Erdtree is more warranted to play Shadow of the Erdtree than it is to play Palworld. Even if you put it that way, I would say that.
Sure.
I don't understand. Rephrase what you said, Crash.
No, I get what you're saying. He's saying it's worth it. It's worth doing. It's a better experience once you get there to play them compared to Palworld.
It's not.
I understand his argument. I just don't agree with it.
It's not instantly accessible, but the experience, the journey to get to it makes it more I think. Like, yeah, like
I just need you both to pick one.
You appreciate.
Howell.
God, I hate to do this, but like Erdtree.
Fuck you.
I know.
Why?
Well, now we're stuck. aren't we?
Fine,
Yeah.
fine. Then just put them both at 10 for now, and then we'll have the argument later.
We'll have the argument later. Yeah.
So go 9-8. What are we saying?
I like
9-8.
So what do we think should be in at 8? I think it's a good time to discuss Indiana Jones.
Okay.
It could climb its way higher up the list. But is
Indie versus Tekken?
I was going to say Indie versus. Actually, no, because I want to put the two. Well, there's 3 on here, but I want to put the 2 multiplayer games against each other for a bit. But all right, yeah, let's say Indie versus Tekken. Has anybody other than Crash played Tekken?
I haven't played Indie.
And
I don't think anybody's played Tekken, so I don't think there's an overlap in opinion.
Yeah, we can't really have that conversation.
Sounds like Indie wins.
Sounds like Indie wins to me too.
No. It's not how it works. It's
literally how it worked last year. No, but it's literally how it worked
last year. It's how
Phantom
Liberty got up, yeah. No, that is how Phantom Liberty got halfway up that list.
Phantom Liberty, because people played both games that were in the conversation.
That's not true. That's a lie.
Over what game? What? Give me the exact situation that happened.
I don't remember.
Because there was no situation. Every time it happened, I played at least a little bit of the other game, and using your rule,
Interesting.
That's how we get it up the list, yeah.
Trying to fuck me again, Chris, and I'm going.
No, I'm not. I'm using your rules.
Oh, fuck you one year. I will.
Well, okay then, Crash. Does Pal World deserve to be ahead of Tekken 8?
No.
Okay.
Does Pal World deserve to be ahead of Indiana Jones for anybody who's played those 2 games?
Does Pal World deserve to be above it?
Yeah.
No.
No, I agree. I think Indiana Jones is better than Pal World.
So Indiana Jones for right now.
So right now, the list we've got is Shadow, Pal World at the bottom, fighting between each other. Indie above that. Right now.
We'll put Indie at 9 for right now.
Yeah, so for now.
We can edit this the deeper we get.
Yeah, this is going to keep, things are going to move up and down. As we go through each one of these lists, I think the way to do it is we've got our 10, 9/8, whatever, and then we just decide where the next game goes in that list above or below, right? Okay. So the first thing on the list, I'm just gonna go through the list as we go down, because Marvel Rivals, is it better or worse than Indie?
Better. But not by much.
It's
Indie, right now. Look.
I think it's a better experience than Indie.
Is a great Indiana Jones game. Do not get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean I enjoy the experience? Not really. I think the combat's quite clunky and quite boring. But as an Indiana Jones game, Indie is fantastic.
Yeah, I think the moment-to-moment Indiana Jones-ness of it all is fine.
Yeah.
The way that game has you running around the world is a lot of backtracking backwards and forwards. Yes. I spent half of my time with a map out in front of me just because it puts the pointer on the world so I know where I'm running. The combat is 100% clunky. The puzzles are fantastic, though. Like, I genuinely feel like I'm solving an Indiana Jones puzzle. The Indiana Jones of the puzzles makes me feel like I'm being Indiana Jones in that world.
Agreed.
But
I agree with everything you said.
Moment to moment, I have so much more fun running around in Marvel Rivals than I do in an Indiana Jones game. That is why I think it should be above Indiana Jones.
And he is the indie guy.
I am the indie guy, apparently.
Do you disagree
I own the
with
box
that,
set and
Matt?
everything.
I think you played.
You played a lot of both.
I don't disagree. The only thing I disagree with what Despawn said is that the backtracking and the way that the levels are designed, I think is like really great. Like I think like there is backtracking, but like you're in these like semi-open world little areas and doing a whole bunch of stuff, and this mission maybe connects that one over there.
Let's put it this way, right? The amount I've played, so my experience, we've not done a review of Indie or like talked about our experience that much. My experience of Indie so far is I've just got to Cairo. So the majority of my time that I've played with that game has just been in the Vatican. I have gone into the Vatican catacombs no less than 5 times because a different mission has sent me there.
Yep.
And I've had to go from that to go back to speak to the main guy that's in there, to then go back, to go back, and go back. It's always backwards and forwards of doing the same mission in the same different missions in the same area. Like,
I did not do
go on.
that.
Can you collect all the missions at once and go in once and do it?
Probably, but I didn't do that.
I haven't come across that being an ability. Like, I will get like a mission in that area, then I'll speak to him, and like there will be some missions where I will pick them. Like, there's a mission in the Vatican where you have to take pictures of 10 different murals, and you'll get those as you're just walking around doing other missions. But like the main side quests that are in the same area is very much a case of going to the catacomb, do that mission that you are going into the catacomb to do that mission. Another area within the catacomb is blocked off. You can only unlock that after you've solved the current mission, gone to the back to the guy, who then give you a key to go back into the sewers and lock a door. It felt very backwards and forwards to me. I very much went down the same zip line 20 times. You two experienced it one way.
You two experienced it one way. I experienced it a very different way, and I didn't have any of that. Like the first time I went into the sewer, I had the key. Like I'm going and like I'm doing the thing. Like
we might be talking about different keys, but that's fine. But I personally,
let's make one thing very clear: the combat's clunky as shit.
Oh yeah, it's awful. Yeah, it doesn't feel good at all.
Is any of this to argue with its placement right now?
No, I think Marvel Rivals is a better game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next on the list, Tekken 8. Tekken 8 below Marvel Rivals, I think. None of you guys played it.
Only you can make that decision.
Okay.
You can tell us that. You've played them both. So, yeah. Okay. Do you think it's better or worse than Indie?
He doesn't know. I think we just put it here for right now and we'll get
yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Black Ops 6. Is it better or worse than Marvel Rivals?
I think worse.
Ooh.
Worse.
I think. Look, we talked about it. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I think, is a triumph for what Call of Duty can and should be. I think every aspect, multiplayer, zombies, campaign, are all absolutely stellar. And I suppose you could argue that Marvel Rivals is just what Overwatch should be. But like for me, like at least Marvel Rivals is doing something a bit new. I mean, it's so hard to say.
It's not doing anything.
It's just doing something that exists a little better. That's all.
But isn't that what Call of Duty does every year?
Yes, every year.
Call of Duty does as well. So I don't think that's like an argument against it, no?
Like, it feels so less fresh. Because this is the Call of Duty.
Disagree with you entirely. You don't play Call of Duty. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
The new Omni movement is so fresh.
It's huge.
And so new and so different. And it's just because you're not a COD head like that to you it's it's another Call of Duty. Like just like Marvel Rivals to me, it's just another Overwatch.
Yeah.
But we're simplifying it so much when you say it like that.
Yeah. I think in both cases, like you can't like just make it the common denominator. For me, I would say Marvel Rivals is better than Black Ops because I think the impression lasted with me longer than I did while I was playing Call of Duty. I still want to play Marvel Rivals. I still have as much fun when I play it. Towards the end of me playing Black Ops, I think my time and enjoyment with that game became less and less. And that was mostly zombies. I think the campaign was really fun for what it was. But I still think if I'm comparing the fun and enjoyment and the quality of the campaign, I think you can have as much quality in Marvel Rivals with the animations, the visuals, there's so much small stuff in that game that people who are fans of these characters are going to love. It oozes personality in a way that I think a lot of superhero games that have come out just fail to do. And that I think this game has, through what they've created here, become the face of what superhero games, and especially these big collective ones, visually will be identified as going forward, and gameplay wise as well, because all the characters feel like you'd imagine them to feel as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it to you, but you better remember me later.
You're gonna make You're gonna make that argument for something.
I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you, but you better remember me later.
Do you think COD should be ahead of Marvel Rivals?
I do.
Really?
Make an argument.
Yeah, I don't really want to make it. I don't think that there's an argument needed to be made. I think you expressed what you were saying very well. I think I come here from a different perspective of like there's so much more to offer with COD, right?
Yeah.
If you're a single player person, you're going to enjoy that single player. If you're a multiplayer guy, you're going to enjoy the multiplayer. If you don't enjoy either of those things, but you want to run around shooting things with your friends, you're going to enjoy zombies. And you've got to think, it's not just a zombies mode that is bring around the rosies, play zombies. It's all the Easter egg stuff. It's all everything that's built in that. For me, I would rather jump into COD and have three very different experiences in the game. compared to Marvel Rivals. That being said, I'm not a big Marvel Rivals fan. So, it's kind of an unfair argument. I'll give you Marvel Rivals because I think you're probably right. I think overall it's a better experience than the entirety of COD. But if I was to pick one, I'd pick COD.
Yeah. So my question before we move on further and get into this list is how are we actually deciding this final, like, is it just our personal vibe check? What do we think was a better experience, or what do we think was technically the better game?
No, it's personal vibe.
Right? It's a mix of everything.
It's a mix. It's a mixture of everything, right? Like you can't. Because if we're doing the best experience, again, it's still up for debate. It's just I just don't think I don't. We're not going to sit here and be argue about sound design and this and that. So
this is the reason I ask, because if we're going like vibe check, what do we think is the better experience? What do we have more fun with? Marvel Rivals 100%. Technically, on paper, I think Call of Duty is a better game than Marvel Rivals.
Yeah,
but I had more fun. I had more fun with Marvel Rivals. So
in this Marvel Rivals.
Then there we go. Okay, so Black Ops. Yeah. So again, as we're going through the list, then just to work our way down, Black Ops 6, is it better or worse than Tekken 8? Only Kresh can answer this one, I think.
Black Ops 6 worse or better than Tekken 8?
Mm-hmm.
Can we come back to that a little bit later? And
we'll build the list as we're going, and then we'll start going. All right, next up we had Prince of Persia.
It's better than whatever you're about to mention.
I mean, Marvel Rivals.
Marvel Rivals.
It's better than Marvel Rivals.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree.
I don't think I need to even make the argument. I think it is. It has made a change in my mind on a whole franchise that I wouldn't play ever again. Like I wouldn't have played before.
Not even franchise, but genre. Like, would you?
Genre is what I meant. I didn't mean franchise. I meant genre.
I'm with both. I had no interest in a Prince of Persia game. I had very little interest in Metroidvanias. I want both next. Like, I'll happily try out both in the future because of this game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you in that. I just think overall it's a great experience from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do. I think it's a great game. I think in a different year, it could be Game of the Year. Marvel Rivals is never going to be my Game of the Year.
I mean, let's put it this way before. Like, this was the first game that came out in the year, but that's fine. But like, when we finished it, we were very much like, this could be a Game of the Year experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, this year's gone. Better games have come out, and that's fine. But like, the fact that like you could play it be one game a year and like say like, I don't think this is going to be Game of the Year by the end of the year. Whereas Prince of Persia, we were very much like, this has the potential, like depending on how this year turns out, to be in that conversation.
We never said that about Marvel Rivals.
No.
Marvel Rivals just came out.
Yeah,
that's not my problem.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's not my fault that it came out when it came out.
Like you wouldn't
have said, you would have never, if this came out after Final Fantasy, you would have never said that Prince of Persia would have been Game of the Year or have a chance at being Game of the Year this year. Or you wouldn't have. Don't do this argument. If you had played Final Fantasy Rebirth, you would have played Prince of Persia and said, "Oh, Prince of Persia might be Game of the Year this year." Marvel Rivals came out after that. It came out after Infinite Wealth. It came out after Metaphor. It came out after every big hitter this year. Marvel Rivals came out. So the argument you're making, I'm not saying it's invalid to you. I'm saying that the whole purpose of that argument is invalid. Of like, I would have said it would have been Game of the Year or whatever. Like that doesn't fit. I think it
has the potential to have been a Game of the Year nomination.
If I played Marvel Rivals in the beginning of the year, I would have said that about Marvel Rivals.
I agree.
Oh, okay, you two would have. I don't think I would have.
Yeah. And that's fair. You didn't vibe the game in general.
Yeah, that's fair.
Rivals, so that's fine.
I just don't see what's.
Either way, as much as I want to argue for my Marvel Rivals over Prince of Persia, I really do. I think you guys are right. I think if you're looking at Prince of Persia as what the game does from gameplay perspectives, and all that sort of reinvigorating my personal faith in Prince of Persia, at least this version of Prince of Persia. I don't know if I'm sold on the 3D and all that stuff. I think Prince of Persia goes over Marvel Rivals.
Thank God.
That's painful for me to say, but you know.
I'm going to skip the one that I've got written here, but I'm going to, just because I think it's going to be like near the top of the list anyway. Let's go to Dragon Age Veilguard.
Versus...
Well, we'll start off at Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia's better. I think overall it's a better game from start to finish. And it comes down to those long, drawn-out relationship bonds. You didn't even like the game at the start of the game. Despawn. You were very like, I'm not sure about this.
Look at what Fix is doing. Fix is trying to turn these again.
I'm just saying.
He's 100%
planting them seeds. I see you, Fix.
It took you a minute to get into Dragon Age, which you could say, all right, well, the character development didn't come early enough. Whatever you want to say, but there was a moment there where you could have dropped out. There was no moment you could have dropped out of Prince of Persia and was like, this ain't for me.
I mean, there is, but it was right at the end when the puzzles got harder.
Sure, I mean, that's
but
okay, fine.
But that's just
fine.
me. That's just, But no, I was very much like, I don't know if Veilguard was for me at the beginning, but as it played out, like they landed it. I think they did a fantastic job with it. Do I think Prince of Persia are better or worse than Veilguard? At the end of the day, I'm still thinking about Veilguard.
Yeah, the game you forgot on your top 10 list.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. No, it's a good point. Yeah, unfortunately, Spawn, your opinion is null and void because of that. Absolutely. And I would wager
you remember to put Prince of Persia on your list, correct, Despawn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think like me and Matt haven't played it, so me and Matt don't really have an opinion here.
All right, that's fine.
I think it makes.
You can't forget a game on your personal top 10 list and then go, "Oh yeah, no, that was amazing." That's how much it remained in your mind.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Crash. Me and you haven't played the game. We can't have an opinion here. However, can we knock it below Marvel Rivals and COD Black Ops 6, please?
No, because you haven't played it, and I have.
No, Dragon Age.
No,
that'd be up to Despawn because Despawn played them both, and Despawn's not going to.
I played them both.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it'd be up to
I'm asking you, Fix.
Conversation around.
I'm not saying...
You're asking me what?
I'm asking
Fix
you...
isn't going to put it... Fix doesn't like
not going to drop it below Rivals.
100%. Fix is not Fix right now. So Fix is Despawn.
So right now we've got Prince...
Rivals?
6.
So, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 right now.
Yeah,
okay.
6.
Let's make it very clear, yeah? I had it at number 10 on my Xbox.
Yeah, this is already high. Like, you're not going to get them.
Yeah. It's not
you
going
want to put Marvel Rivals in the top 5 of our Xbox list?
No, not a chance.
No, there's no way, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You got to take the wins where you get them.
Yeah, ignoring my bad memory and forgetting what games I played this year.
I feel you. I get you, and I'm with you, but you got to take the wins where you get them.
I want it,
The fact that it's in the top 10, don't just be happy with that. All right, so Prince of Persia followed by Veilguard. Right. Next up, we've got
Balatro.
we're gonna say Balatro. And I'm already gonna say
Prince of Persia. Way better.
We're not doing like a versus anything. It's just versus whatever the highest is at the time, which is currently Prince of Persia. I'm gonna say that Balatro's higher. Like just from personal experience, I think. Yeah.
Take your win. Take your W. Like that's what I'm saying. You gotta pick and choose your awards.
I've played both of them. Give me a second to just formulate a thought on whether I can think of something to put Prince of Persia over Balatro. Because Balatro does so many things right. Prince of Persia does so many things right as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lose-lose wherever any of these go. Like, I think I'd go Balatro over Prince of Persia. I
just think the constant loop in there, the amount of like just the gameplay fun of it all, of like trying to get the perfect run. I think it's just like, don't get me wrong, like it's a hard battle in my mind. Like Prince of Persia is a fantastic game, but I'm like, again, I'm not playing a quick run of Prince of Persia every night before I go to bed. I'm playing a quick run of Balatro.
I'm opening Pokemon cards every night before bed. Don't make it a great game.
Well, I was surprised it didn't make your top 10 list.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
I was surprised TGC didn't make your top 10 list.
TGC shop. Oh my god.
Yeah, you forgot.
Those forgetting games now, huh?
Wow.
I didn't get to play it in the end.
I would have made my top 10, but I forgot to even think about it.
Yeah, it was in my list, but
it wouldn't have. Top 10. Here's the thing, Despawn. It wouldn't have been a number 4 game, and I would have pushed everything else down.
Go fuck yourself. All right, so Balatro better than Prince of Persia for everyone who played it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You didn't play Prince of Persia, Matt. Shut up.
Yeah, you didn't.
I've got to speak my truth.
Like your truth is based on
speak our truth, my friend. I can do it too.
All right, so the last two games we've got for the list are Metaphor ReFantazio and Infinite Wealth.
Neither of those are below Balatro.
No,
Do you agree with that, Despawn?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. These are we're arguing 1 and 2 right now. This is what's happening.
Infinite Wealth versus Metaphor. This is a very difficult conversation because I think both of them can very easily win an argument for number one.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because they are both very quality.
Not that it has any bearing, but just to fill time while you guys are thinking, I'm more intrigued to play Like a Dragon than I am Metaphor.
Yes, and that is a perfect. Thank you for volleying the ball to me and let me answer. Let me go. Let me speak to the people real quickly.
Played Metaphor?
I have played a bit of Metaphor.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you, Matt. He knows who I'm asking.
You know who we're talking to.
You set up these rules, didn't you?
Yeah, look.
Have you played it?
I
would ask the panel to mute people who haven't played both games.
No,
Please,
no way. Listen to me. Just listen to me.
Okay.
Look, Infinite Wealth is a special game.
Yeah.
Very, very, very special game. And I'm sure Metaphor is as well. I'm sure. I didn't get around to playing it, unfortunately, due to being sick. And not only that, I was going to play it last night, and I thought, this is stupid. Because I'm going to play this game just so I said that I've played it so I can beat it down. And I don't think that's fair.
Okay.
But I could have been stupid and been like, oh yeah, but I played the prologue. Like, it's just dumb. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I could have done the same with Balatro, but I decided not to. Because I was like, that's dumb. I'm not going to put.
He'd enjoy those games and it would ruin his whole list.
Yeah.
It's not
I disagree. Because I don't think I would have enjoyed it enough in the 3 hours I was going to put in compared to the 98 hours that I put into Infinite Wealth. Now, from a pick up and play perspective, I think from what I'm looking at, I think Metaphor might be the right answer. It's a brand new experience. It's on Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken. It was? No, it wasn't. It wasn't on Game Pass.
No, it's not.
I thought it was on Game Pass and it didn't end up coming to
They announced it when they announced all the other Persona stuff.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I think from that perspective, it's not a sequel. So it's something fresh. That being said, Infinite Wealth does such a great job of making you feel a part of that world and understanding that world from the jump that it doesn't even feel like a sequel. Like, it does, but in the right way, if you know what I'm saying. Like, you can tell it's a sequel and you can tell the story here, but you don't feel like we were saying before. You don't feel like an outsider. You feel warm and fuzzy inside.
It is very welcoming, sure.
It's very warm and fuzzy, yeah.
And I just think we'd be doing this podcast a real disservice if we didn't give it to Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Personally.
I'm going to say that Despawn has to come up with a better argument than that. Because your argument is essentially the warm and fuzzy feeling I get.
Marvel Rivals has made it to 6 on the list. Give me this.
I gave you
nothing.
We can have
nothing.
We can have this discussion.
I got nothing.
We're still gonna fight between Palworld and Shadow at the moment as well.
Palworld and what?
Shadow the
Tree.
I'll give you Shadow the Tree, Crash. I don't care.
I'm not making we're not doing no backroom deals here. This is a legit and authentic experience right now. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna say my piece on Metaphor. And then I'll let Despawn go and we can go from there because I'm really not sold on either of these being number one. My argument is, I'm sure, my argument is a lot of the stuff you've said, Metaphor felt like a genuinely, like it has the Persona-isms in it, but it still felt like a brand new, fresh experience. Exactly what you said. It felt like, oh, this is a sequel that you didn't need to play the last one. I felt like I had picked up the original Like a Dragon and just continued playing, for better or for worse.
Okay.
So that game feels like I played it. When did the last one come out? In 2021?
When it launched, when the console launched, I don't remember.
Yeah, so this feels like I'm playing that game. Not a game that came out today, not a game that's had more polish, not a game that all this stuff. And that's not a negative to the game. But for me, if I'm looking at which game deserves to be game of the year, I'm looking at for the more fresh experience. Not to be on the top 10 list, to be the number one game for me.
Yeah. I hear you. Despawn.
Hi. Hi, I'm Despawn. Nice to meet you. I mean, you already you saw my personal top 10 for the shit show that it was. You know what was number one. You know what I'm gonna say. While I agree with all of the great things about Metaphor, it is a fresh new experience. Story's fantastic. The gameplay's brilliant. Honestly, I'm arguing for myself. I think actually Metaphor should go number one. No, no. Honestly, like nothing bait Infinite Wealth for me. Like I think not just the fact that it was very much like it felt like a nostalgia trip that I was there for, even when I wasn't there for the rest of it. Like the gameplay loop was amazing. The experience that it gave you, as little or as much as you wanted of it, nothing felt like I was like time wise. Like I never felt like I was in one section for too long, or I was being dragged along to the next section too fast. Go on.
The Doki Doki Island intro. I almost quit when that happened.
Right.
I legit almost stopped playing the game completely when that happened.
But that's I enjoyed and by the way,
you
it
would have been
is
fair too.
And by the way, it is Dondoka, not Doki Doki. That's a completely different
I'm
gaming
thinking
experience. Yeah, you are. I don't think that's in this game. But hey, maybe the next one. Who knows? But no, But again, the fact is, like, you did that first experience of Dondoka, and you knew it wasn't for you. You could just move on.
Sure, but I'd argue that Metaphor always has you moving forward. It never has you, so you don't even have the opportunity to have that experience in Metaphor.
I don't know. There were definitely some times in Metaphor where I was like, all right, well, I need to just keep talking to people to get to the next story point.
We're not doing that with Like a Dragon, where you have 5 hours
Like
segments
a Dragon
of
is
nothing but
100%
cutscenes.
that.
Not like that.
Just
Not
because
like
I
that.
care about it.
No, but what I'm saying, like, again, I cared about characters in both games, but what I'm saying is, like in Metaphor, there is like, you have to get to this deadline, and that's when the next story beat happens. There were definitely moments where I was like 8 days away from that next story beat, so I was filling my time with doing stuff to increase my crown, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Like, whereas in Infinite Wealth, I never felt like I was spinning wheels to get to the next story beat. I always felt like I was moving along at a good pace. That's just my personal experience. Like, that's just how I felt. And that's like, whether I'm right or wrong in that, that's fine. But that's how I felt.
That's fair. But I had a similar feeling with that in terms of like having to grind.
Okay.
Because I had to grind in Infinite Wealth.
Because you didn't do the side stuff.
But I don't. According to Despawn, I don't need to do.
Yeah.
No, you're right. No, I'm on your side. But I get you. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But
So it's like you can't. You're not forced to do the side stuff, but you have to do some of the side stuff.
There is a detriment
Otherwise,
to not
like
doing
the ending
it.
is like completely impossible to do.
And that's fair. But whereas, like you say, like,
poor Matt.
If you're doing, if we're comparing the side stuff, then it's like talking to people to build up your.
But it's not side
things
stuff. Because you're constantly like moving towards, like, there is a set date that you're going towards.
Yeah.
Like side stuff is I have to go out of my way to do that. Like, I'm allowed to continue playing Like a Dragon. I can keep going on to the next quest and do the next thing. I tried forcing my way through that campaign, and then I got to the second half of the end of it, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It was literally impossible for me to do it without going back and leveling up.
Yeah.
And you can't lower the difficulty. Whereas, like, if you play Metaphor and you get to hard part, you could just lower the difficulty on Metaphor. Yeah. You cannot do that in Like a Dragon. It does not let you.
Yeah, but what I was going to say before you so rudely interrupted me,
I apologize.
I'm joking. But what I was going to say is even in those moments where I, like you say, you feel like you need to go grind something, I enjoyed the grinding experience more in Infinite Wealth than I did in Metaphor. And that's not a detriment on either. Like, I still enjoyed my time in Metaphor. Like, I loved the looping round in a dungeon.
Second place
is
great, you know?
Yeah, second place is fantastic, and it
second place
deserves
is a great
it.
spot. Great spot.
I agree. Infinite Wealth deserves second place. That's fantastic that we all came there in an agreement. What I need from you is a solid argument on why Infinite Wealth is just a better game than Metaphor. Because everything you're saying, I can make the same argument for. I preferred. No, 100%.
Here's my argument. Before we started this podcast, you couldn't even pick between the two.
100%.
At least on this podcast, for our list, we're all in agreement that Infinite Wealth should be up there. Me and Despawn both had it at a higher spot than you did, right?
Yeah.
outside of Final Fantasy. Despawn had it 1, I had it 2. That's why. And I think I just think, for me, from what I've seen, and I can only talk about what I've seen with Metaphor, right? Someone who is new to these JRPG games, they're going to have more fun and probably understand it a little bit better playing Infinite Wealth than they would Metaphor. And that's why I think Matt's more intrigued to want to play that as well. That's just my opinion.
Correct. My question is, did you watch XQC play Like a Dragon?
Yeah, but that guy's an idiot.
But did you see? But what did you say? What did you say?
That's such a crappy argument, but yeah.
What did I say?
Are we judging what's a game of the year? Are we?
No,
just
he's
to
just
clarify.
given an argument. It's in his defense.
It's not a wrong argument because Fix said something very specific. He said, if you're a new player and you jump into a game, which one is easier to pick up and play? Ask XQC if Like a Dragon is easy to pick up and play.
I want to see how we get on with Metaphor.
Matt.
Metaphor doesn't give you.
Matt. If you had to, you've not played either.
Yeah.
From a surface level of what you've seen of both,
he already gave his answer.
What would you want to play?
Yeah, like a dragon.
Cool. Then we've won. It's Like a Dragon.
It is like a dragon is man. Yeah,
it's 2 versus 1 anyway. So I don't know. I've let the argument go
as 1.
It is.
You played Metaphor?
Crash.
You played Metaphor?
None of us have played Tekken. We're going to keep Tekken off the list then.
Cool. We can take Tekken off the list. You don't know how petty I can be, Fix.
Crash.
The argument is like, what is the? At the end of the day, it's a vibe check, right? That is what this list is. Yeah. I vibed more with Infinite Wealth. I enjoyed my time with that more.
You started this by saying, I'm really unsure for 1 and 2. And
I've had a moment of revelation.
No, you've enjoyed the fight. That's what you've done.
You've enjoyed the fight.
You tasted blood and you went for the kill.
Go from 10 for me. Go from 10 for me on the list, please.
Well, currently we still have 11.
Perfect. So we'll go from 10, 11. Well, just slow down. Just slow down. We'll get there. We'll get back to it.
10 and 10 2. Yeah. All right. So 10 and 10 2. We've got Shadow of the Erdtree and Power World. Then we've got. Let's
the only
do it
person
now.
arguing this, make the argument.
Who's winning this?
I would make the argument that Shadow of the Erdtree over Power World. I felt like it was a more complete experience. I felt like it was a funner experience from game design perspectives. I enjoyed my time in it. It is a game that I wish there was more of in certain ways, similar to Power World as well. Overall, I think it was just a better and more enjoyable and more recommendable experience than Power World.
For the people who would pick up either of these games, like if you are picking up Shadow of the Erdtree, you've already got to the point where you can play it. I think like there are outliers where there's people like Self-Fix where you thought like you needed to get it to play, for this conversation. But like for those that have got access to be able to do both, I personally feel that Shadow of the Erdtree is a better, more rounded experience.
Perfect. Then I concede my argument. And Power World can be knocked off the list, and Shadow of the Erdtree can be number 10.
What the fuck happened while I was gone?
Power World died. It got taken out back.
The conversation.
You
missed the conversation. This is what happens when you get up.
No, because I am a civilized man who understands when to concede and when not to.
Who the fuck are you? You're not Fix.
You're playing on my humanity, Fix? I'm a monster. I'm
not saying anything. I'm just saying that I am not going to be argumentative on this, and I'm willing to concede. Unless Matt wants to really argue it, I am fine with it being number 10.
Okay. So right now, number 10.
I really do want to argue it, but like we can't be here all day. But like,
we got 10 minutes max. 10 minutes left. This is all we got. Is 10 minutes.
This is for our podcast.
Here's what I'll say. If your argument is it can't be there because it's a DLC, I just disagree.
Well, no, you can make that argument, but then I'm telling you from now on, then any DLC going forward is never going to be on our top 10 list. And that is it from now on, which I'm not comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with that.
I'm not either.
Because we've already set the precedent last year.
I agree. That's why.
Phantom Liberty
I didn't want it.
You did. You helped their argument.
What? with Phantom
I don't know.
Liberty.
They fucked me
was
over
great.
last year because
I
of
don't
it.
remember.
It was great. It was so wonderful
Here's
watching
what
it
I'll
step
say.
up the list.
If Blood and Wine came out this year, I would recommend it. 100%.
It's not a game.
It's a game experience.
It is a game. If you 100% play it, it has game design. There's a million and one things that you can describe it as a game. It is a continuation to a game, sure, but it's still a game.
I just
You
thought of
play
another
it,
game
you
that I forgot on my
experience it.
top 10 list, my personal. I forgot Mario Party Jamboree. Fuck.
Oh,
that would
shit.
make mine.
That's going to do it.
Well,
Matt, you
Sorry.
lose. Just lose. Just
Fine.
lose. It's okay.
Fine,
it's
fine,
okay.
fine.
Number 9, indie. Number 8, Tekken.
We want to move those two around?
Yeah, I'm good with that, Matt. You want to do that? I'm totally down to do that. 1000%.
You move indie up.
I'm going to move Indie up and Tekken down. Matt, you good with that?
I would quite like to do that. Yeah.
Kresh? Kresh, what are you thinking?
I've got no personal preference on this because I've not played Tekken, so I can't.
Me either.
Me either.
Y'all do whatever you want.
No, we're
He's
not.
gonna
We're
be
not
petty
doing
at
that.
the end,
We're
guys.
not doing.
He's
We're
gonna be
not doing
petty
that.
at the end, guys.
Move
He's
it.
gonna be
100%
petty.
I'm going to be petty.
Petty.
Because the only reason you're doing that is to be petty. You saw how you said it.
Not being petty. I think
Yes,
I
you
think
are,
should
Vix.
be higher. I think it's a great experience if you like Indiana Jones.
But I do, and I don't think it's a great experience.
Then leave it where it is. Perfect. That's 2v2. And you're the indie guy. I'm willing to give you that.
All right, Indie's number 9. Tekken 8 is number 8. It's in the name. It has to be. Although weirdly,
fair.
now that I've said that, Black Ops 6 is number 7. Marvel Rivals is number 6.
Mad.
Ay, caramba.
This is two different arguments for different directions.
So the thing is, like, now that even now I'm still 50-50 on it, but we're doing vibe checks, so yeah, Marvel Rivals is above it. Then we've got Veilguard, so Dragon Age Veilguard. Then we got Prince of Persia at number 4.
Stop. Your ad libs need to stop because you didn't play the game. All right,
Hey.
play some video games and have some opinions. Yeah.
You know what?
Got him.
Matt, Despawn mentioned vibe checks, and I'm just saying, what type of vibe is it when you forget the game exists?
Shut your fucking mouth. Number 4 is Prince of Persia. Number 3 is Balatro. Until both of you two throw some kind of fit, I don't know. Number 2 is now Metaphor. Number 1 is Infinite Wealth.
I'm
a good list.
comfortable with that list. I'm comfortable with that list.
I am also comfortable with that list.
Fresh, you got a game that none of us even played, my brother.
That's fair. That's a good point. That's fantastic. But I have this deep thing, this
You-
deep-seated need in me.
You got a game that we didn't play. I got a game I didn't remember. Everyone's a winner.
I don't feel like I
Matt
won.
number 1. I correct.
feel like I won.
Correct.
Infinite Wealth is number 1.
No, I'm fine with Infinite Wealth being number
Oh,
1.
thank God. All right,
I'm fine with it.
Like, don't get me
I
wrong.
played it up
is
a little
close.
bit for the
Yeah,
conversation.
Well, like, here's the thing. We're all unhappy with some part of this list.
Yes.
For sure.
And we're all happy with other parts of it. And that's kind of what it's all about.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't think I'm really unhappy with any part of it.
I don't think
I'm
so.
not
Marvel
unhappy with Metaphor
Rivals
being
should
number
not be
2.
that high.
Marvel Rivals could probably be higher, correct?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Agreed.
Look,
I'd put it at, from the list, my personal
Moving
opinion,
on,
I'd
moving on,
probably
moving
put it
on.
at number 3 here.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Well, look, guys, thank you very much for another year of this absolute hellish time of year for the podcast. 4-hour episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. No need to plug this year because half of you didn't make it to the end. Boys, our game of the year this year is Infinite Wealth.
I might go try it.
I think you should.
I hate you. I hate you. No, well done to Sega. They put out a great game. And yeah, man, until next time, I guess we'll love you, leave you, and see you laters. Kresh. You lose, baby, you lose!
Oh, God.
Thank you.